I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are the 2025 NBA champions after defeating the Indiana Pacers 103-91 in Game 7 Sunday night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won MVP with a 29-point, 12-assist, 5-rebound game. Pacers star guard Tyrese Haliburton suffered a torn Achilles tendon in his injured leg he had been playing through since Game 2 in the first quarter after a hot start that saw him make 3 consecutive threes. Is OKC just getting started? And who wants the wide-open East next year? We will dive into that and the big Kevin Durant trade, preview Wednesday's NBA draft before we have a six-pack with Speedy, and dial it up with Errol Marks back in the saddle for another live, action-packed Monday rendition of Joba and the Mouth.
The Mets are going to give him a significant. They're going to have a ton of money to spend. Why not put it in one of the top 3 offensive players in the league? We're going to be looking at Aaron Judge and saying that he can't win the big game. Michael Jordan said, I played 82 games. You don't see LeBron doing that.
This is a game where you got to go perform.
I told you, Giant fans, and Saquon Barkley, at this point, I'm gonna fight them all. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off. Taking time. See, whatever you want about Patrick Mahomes, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Really? And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. Back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette. And the name's coming from my eyes.
Let's do it. You're listening to Joba and the Mouth.
Yes. I'm back. I don't know what that means. I'm a little lost. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Errol Marks, and we are here at the studios of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Joba and the Mouth. Again, my co-host, Joba Chamberlain, Speedy Petey, executive producer, you heard him, Aaron Fishman, Mr. Tommy Poops himself on the board. Our interns, yes, Zach, Aaron, Jake. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan, our PR guy. Goody will be on a little bit later in the show, hopefully. Yes, I am back. It was an interesting vacation. Got a lot of stories to tell. I don't know. I don't want to scare anybody off about Bermuda, but beware of the Bermuda Triangle, and that's what I was in. Stuck in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm stumbling on my words because it's been a real long week for myself. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including Joba The Mouth. Every single Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And I want to say something. Yes, there you are. And don't worry, Kevin. I will tell you guys some of the crazy stuff that happened to me at Bermuda. It's crazy. When you go on a cruise, you think, hey, you know what? You're going to see a lot of different things. You're going to go to a lot of different game shows, and you're going to hang out with your girl and just enjoy yourself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't do any of those because Brittany fell asleep at 11 o'clock at night. She couldn't keep her eyes open. And I got a chance to hang out with Brittany's hairdresser, who's become close with me, Elena, and her husband, John. John's an amazing guy. He really is a great person, and he went to sleep early too. As soon as we ate dinner, it didn't matter if it was a steak dinner, sushi, or whatever the hell they were eating. That guy was out like a light bulb. But me, I hung out. I went out to the clubs. I danced the night away and got to meet a bunch of kids. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever gone to a club? Could you imagine 15, 14-year-olds being allowed to dance with a bunch of people drinking and partying at a club? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you go on Norwegian, the Getaway, they allow kids, to actually go party with the grown-ups. It didn't matter how old they were. And then I actually met somebody that really was 24 years old, but looked like a 14-year-old. And they actually called security to tell him, and security came down and looked at his ID. He was actually 24 years old. I was shocked. So that was the crazy party part of my Bermuda.
No, could they just come in and like dance, or they could do whatever they wanted?
They could. Some of them were drinking wine. I mean, their parents were buying them drinks, and I saw some of these kids actually at the bar, and I don't know if they were 14, 15 years old, but they had to be underage, 17, 18 at best, and they were drinking wine, they were drinking beers, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, how do their parents actually like these kids actually going out drinking and then doing crazy things the whole night? I was up till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and these kids are roaming all the different floors trying to figure out how they can, piss people off. Some of them were beating people's, doors in and hitting their doors and knocking on their doors and waking people up. One of them I almost choke slammed. I wanted to grab him by his neck, but, I didn't do that. So I don't want to say I'm abusive, but I wanted to. All right. But I'll tell you guys a quick story before we get to the show. I don't want to scare you. And I'll have a lot of stories. I'll tell you some stories on Thursday. I'll tell you some stories next week as well. We got to Bermuda. Okay. So I'm hanging out. I'm getting ready. Elena and her husband, John, they went out for breakfast downstairs to the breakfast, or upstairs to floor 15 to eat breakfast. After that, they knocked on our door. We weren't up yet. We get up at 7 in the morning. They're done with breakfast. And we told them to wait for us. Brittany takes forever to get ready. You know how women are. They're just absolutely impossible. But she gets ready, and we run up for breakfast. We get down for breakfast, and they knock on our door again, and they say, listen, we're not dealing with this. We'll go on the island. We'll meet you on the island. All right, we're getting ready. Brittany's still putting on her makeup, whatever. We get off the boat. We give our IDs. We go over there. Now, obviously, before you cross the border, you got to sometimes they look through your stuff, and they pick us out of 3,000 people. 3,000 people. Now, in a book bag, I had these electric THC, smoking things, okay? And I'm just telling you, I didn't smoke either. I just knew they were in the bag. So I told Brittany I want to go back upstairs to drop it, but they told me, no, wait a second. What do you have? What do you have in your bag? Blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to lie. So I told them I had these pens in my bag. All of a sudden, they rip apart my bag. They go through my bag. They find them. They say, do you have anything else? Please be honest with us or we might press charges. I said, no, I don't have anything. Dude, it gets worse. So they tell me, so the K9 guy, one of the guys standing at the border, he tells me, listen, this is a quick thing. This is usually not a problem. All right, fine. I'm calmed down. Brittany's screaming on the top of her lungs, telling him how there are people bringing in through the border worse stuff than us. There were people doing a lot worse stuff on the boat than what I had in my bag. Okay. And this is a fact, guys, because we've seen it. I was watching it with my bare eyes. Nevertheless, they knew that, but they said, we can't stop everybody. We stopped you. So they call their higher sergeants and they come down and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, they're going to let us go, Brittany. Don't worry about it. So they say what we got to do is now we got to take the canine dogs up to your room and search your whole room. We want to search your whole room, make sure you're not smuggling anything. I said, wait a second. You told me you were just going to take my electric cigarettes. This is going to be a quick situation and we can go. Well, sir, we don't know what you're doing. We don't know what you're here for. I'm here to party. I'm here to go to Bermuda. I'm here to go to your goddamn beaches. So I'm sitting there. Brittany starts to scream. I'm starting to scream. They bring us up there. Could you imagine going on a boat, guys? All these people coming off of it, and you have 2 canine dogs going on the boat with you, sniffing through and getting up. So you had to go through another security area. And then they're checking your bags inside. You go upstairs. People are watching everything that's going on. And they tell you to stand out your door while they go in and sniff and go through your whole bags, all your stuff, every single thing. Don't find anything. And then they tell us, we got to take you down and then start. We're not going to write a summons. We're going to write a warning. We go downstairs. They take us to the room. For an hour, they're writing. They ask me for my social security. They ask if they take pictures of my passport. And I'm like, wait a second. This is a friggin' warning. And you have me signing all this paperwork. You're confiscating everything that I have. And you're telling me, listen, I'm not smuggling cocaine. I'm not friggin' the guy from Blow. And I did say that to him. I said, I'm not sniffing cocaine. I'm not tracking in heroin. What is this? This is legalized in New York. I understand. I made a mistake. I was honest with you. They said, listen, we're going to write up a report and we're going to let you go. And they said, after 2.5 hours of you telling me it's only going to take about 20, 30 minutes and then embarrassing us in front of our boat mates, that for the whole rest of the trip, everybody kept coming up to me after I was in the Hot Man contest and people were like, they were like, that's a whole nother story. I'll tell you that story tomorrow. But I mean, Thursday. Nevertheless, it was absolutely embarrassing. And for Bermuda and security and whatever they were trying to do there, maybe for once in their absolute stupid lives, they picked the right bag to go searching through because there were a lot worse drugs on that boat, a lot worse than an electric THC cigarette, which, by the way, I never smoked, and they can test my goddamn blood. So I was embarrassed. Brittany was embarrassed. And then that was that day. So that's the first story I'll tell you. It wasn't one of the funny ones. It was one of the worst ones. I was embarrassed. It was one of the worst embarrassing positions I've ever been in my entire life.
So is it just like random?
It was random. They picked us out of 3,000 people.
Yeah, I'm sure the 15-year-olds in the club were just fine.
Now, if we went with Elena and John at the same time, they probably don't pick us and they don't pull us over. It was because I was wearing a Yankee hat. It was because I was from New York. I really do believe that. And by the way, we were on a boat with a lot of Philadelphia people. A lot of I know Fish doesn't want to hear it. There was a lot of Philadelphia people on that boat. I would say 75% Philadelphia, probably 25% New York. And then maybe I would say, no, I'm sorry. 23% New York and the rest Indiana. I saw a couple of Indianapolis people, people from Maine. It was very few people, but mainly Philadelphia and New York. So it was an interesting boat ride. Met a lot of people, a lot of nice people, a lot of people that are going to be tuning in. A lot of people that, when they asked me what show I was doing and stuff like that, they knew who you were, Joba. One of them is a huge fan of yours. I grew up a big Joba Chamberlain fan and told me to tell Joba I love him. And I hope everything's going well for himself. So, I mean, there's a lot of people on that one boat that had their own agenda. I wasn't the one trying to smuggle drugs into Bermuda. So that was just a horrible situation for me. So that was the tail end of a beginning story that I could tell you throughout the show. Maybe I'll add a story here and there, and a lot of funny ones. I'll give you some funny ones, but that was probably the worst. It did ruin half of my vacation. It didn't really make the day very good. I got a chance to see the pink sand. Dude, it's not pink. I don't know what they're saying. It's more like yellow and peach than pink. Where did they come up with pink sand? Okay? It wasn't pink, just so everybody knows.
How's the food? I've never been on a cruise, so I don't know.
The food's great. I mean, they had steak dinners. We actually had 3 really big dinners that we had to pick from. So there's 2 places that you could get steak, and there was some Italian restaurants on the boat that we picked one of them. There was sushi, there were Chinese, and then they have the buffet, which you can have whatever the hell you want. And then they have the Manhattan, which you get to order. It's obviously a part of the boat trip. If you don't have a chance you don't have the money to go and spend it up to a steak restaurant or any of that, everybody goes in there for their big fancy dinner. And by the way, it's probably one of the best dinners you'll have on the boat in the Manhattan. So a shout out to Dami. And Dami was our waiter when we went into the Manhattan. We love the guy. I tipped him. Brittany and me must have tipped him with John and Elena at least $200. At least $200 the 2 or 3 times we were there. We love the guy. The guy was such a nice guy, Philippine, really down to earth, funny as hell. And Brittany probably wanted to jump his bones because she just thought he was sweet. I thought he was. I don't know what he was, but whatever. I don't want to talk about it on the show. 8:45. We'll be talking to Golden State Warriors play-by-play broadcaster Tim Roy. He's been on our show. He is fantastic. I think everybody that loves the Golden State Warriors will love Tim because Timmy knows his stuff. He knows his Golden State Warriors. He's one of the best basketball broadcasters in the world. There's very few people that you could put in the same realm as the one and only Tim Roy. So we're so excited to have him on the show. He's been on our show quite a few times and excited. The Thunder win Game 7 versus the Pacers, 103-91 to win their very first NBA championship since relocating to OKC. Shea was named the NBA's Finals MVP, averaging 30.6 points per game, 5.6 assists per game, 4.6 rebounds per game in the series. Shea became the 10th player to win an NBA MVP, an NBA Finals MVP in the same season, and the first since LeBron in 2013. Shea also joins Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the only players to win MVPs and the scoring title in the same season. The Thunder became the 4th team in NBA history to win 84 total games in a season, joining the 2015 Warriors and the Bulls in back-to-back years in 95 and 96. Tyrese Haliburton suffered an Achilles injury with 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter and likely will be out for the entire season next year. Haliburton suffered a calf injury during Game 5 and then played 23 minutes on the injured calf in Game 6. With the Thunder winning the NBA title, there have now been 7 different teams to win championships in 7 years. First time in NBA history. Well, congratulations to the OKC Thunder. I watched the game, bits and pieces of the game, and throughout the series on the boat, I watched the series. It was back and forth basketball. You can't argue that this was a good series. 2 teams that were very evenly matched in some parts of the series. But the better team was the OKC Thunder. Now, if Haliburton stays in that game in Game 6, I think the Pacers win that series. I really do. Haliburton was playing good basketball in the first quarter. Those were one of those games that you would see Tyrese Haliburton have a 30, 12, and 11 game, and he has a triple-double and has a world-beating game against a guy like Shea Alexander. Well, it didn't happen. He goes down. Another great player that goes down with an Achilles tendon injury. We saw that against the Knicks with, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's going to be out next year. He got his surgery the day after. I expect Tyrese Haliburton to have his surgery today, but 2 great players going down as fast as they did. You wouldn't absolutely like something like that. You would like to see OKC beat the best players who want to beat Indiana at their top, at their best. Well, things happen. We've seen this before. There's no excuses. And I know that's what the Pacers, and I think in the offseason, the Pacers and Rick Carlisle is going to go out and they're going to tell his team, if we had Haliburton, we win that series. And possibly could be true. But Shai Alexander is one of the best players in the league. I don't know if you can compare him to Michael Jordan. I know a lot of people want to do that. And everybody's trying to find that next Michael Jordan, as well as for years they were trying to find the other Allen Iverson. You can't compare and contrast players from different eras. What I could say about Shai Alexander is Shai Alexander is a killer. This guy goes out there, plays at the top of his game, one of the nicest guys on the basketball court. Doesn't really talk much. You can see it, he doesn't talk much. At the end of the game, he doesn't speak bad about the other players or the other team, or even when they lose a game, blame his teammates. That's what's impressive about Shai Alexander. He's special, he's fun to watch, and he's an offense machine. Do I think he's still the NBA MVP for the season? No. I believe Nikola Jokic was the best player in the league. Nevertheless, you can't take away of his success. This guy is one of very few people to win an MVP in a regular season and the MVP of the playoffs. And that stands out from guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, and Michael Jordan. But when you look at this series, it was incredible. Indiana was not expected to make the finals. OKC was. OKC was one of the best teams in the league. They were the best team throughout the season. It was them and the Cavaliers. We expected that OKC was going to be here at one point. I didn't. I'll admit it. I thought the Lakers were going to the finals. I thought the Golden State Warriors had a better chance to make it than the OKC Thunder. So I take back what I say about what I thought of the OKC Thunder being the young team that they were. Nevertheless, this is a very well-run machine, okay? And Jalen Williams, say whatever you want about what Shai Alexander did. When you talk about Batman and Robin, these two guys, when we compare guys like Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, or even LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, this could be one of the top 3, top 4 duos we have ever seen in NBA history play in a final series. That's how good both these guys were back and forth. If Shai wasn't playing well in one game or one half, you had Jalen Williams playing well in that half. And Jalen Williams and Shai Alexander do things that other duos do not do. When you talk about Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, okay? Kobe was a great defender. Shaquille O'Neal was not. Those are the facts. When you look at Shai and Jalen Williams, these guys were killers defensively. They were killers offensively. That's the difference here. Two-dimensional. Two players that can play two-dimensional basketball. And then you look at Tyrese Haliburton and all the players and the cast that they had over there. It was a sensational year for them. They have a tremendous amount of talent and a lot of youth. The problem with them is they don't have the other guy. They have a bunch of good players behind Tyrese Haliburton, and we don't even know if Tyrese Haliburton is an all-world player. He's up and he's down. He has these unbelievable games where we say, this guy is the best point guard in the league, and then there are games that you wonder, where the hell was he in one of the halves? Where the hell was he in the whole game? So that's the problem with Tyrese Haliburton. I look at this series, and I look at all the great series over the last 7 years, and it's an amazing stat, and that's something that's so interesting. The Thunder are one of 7 teams that have won championships in the last 7 years. When we talk about Golden State, we talk about all those teams over the years, Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. It's an amazing feat when you look at the NBA and you look at the compare and contrast all these teams and so close together. The talent is so close in the NBA now. If you look at the NHL, you look at the 2 best teams in the last 2 years, it's the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Go look. And by the way, Florida, congratulations to them. I haven't even been done to even get my slacks on the Florida Panthers and the greatness of what they have done in the last 2 years. But I will mention some things about the Florida Panthers a little bit later in the show. What I thought about the NBA playoffs that I've never, ever said is the comparable thought that all the teams were so close together. There was no top team in the playoffs. As good as OKC was, and they won, 84 total wins this year? They were a good team. But even the games that they won, they either blew people out or the games are so very close. And that's the thing about OKC. When the Thunder figures things out, when the Thunder, and they're a young team, when they figure things out, they might be unstoppable. They could win 3-4 championships in a row. Next year, they got 2 first-round draft picks. The year after, they got 2 first-round draft picks. This team is loaded, and they're going to be loaded for many, many years. And congratulations to Chet Holmgren, who was the number 1 pick in a draft a couple of years ago, who can't stay healthy, as he admitted after the game. The guy showed up in game number 7, 18 points, 8 rebounds. He was sensational. That's what you need from a third player. When you talk about the trios that we've seen over the years, the Miami Heat, do you remember that? LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh averaged 17, 18 points a game. Dwayne Wade averaged about 24, 25, and LeBron averaged 30. Then you get 3 players of that magnitude giving you that many points and give you those kind of points in those kind of minutes, you're unstoppable. Unstoppable. And that's what OKC is. You're unstoppable. Hartenstein gave you the defense and the boards that you needed offensively. And by the way, in the second half of the game, they absolutely dominated on the offensive side of the boards. Dort was unbelievable. Unbelievable on the boards, especially in game number 7. When you have that kind of rebounding and the defense that they played against Indianapolis, and I know everybody's going to say they didn't have Tyrese Haliburton. Nevertheless, with or without Tyrese Haliburton, even though I think the Pacers would have won that game, they played an unbelievable defensive game. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana Pacers did not win that series, even with or without Tyrese Haliburton in a lot of people's eyes. Me differently, other people would probably agree that even with Tyrese Haliburton, they don't win the series.
Yeah, it's not definitive on either angle because, like you said, the Pacers were still able to do well in the second quarter with the bench unit when Haliburton probably would have been out of the game anyway. That's where a lot of their points came from when McConnell was shooting very well, Benedict Mathurin in a nice game. That's why the Pacers were up at halftime. That might have not happened even if Haliburton was healthy too. So I think it would have probably even at that point. You mentioned the rebounding, though. That was, I think, the biggest key when you look at game 6 to game 7, because Chet Holmgren had a dud in game 6. He had 4 points. He was allowing a lot of offensive rebounds, was not defending well inside as well against the Pacers bench players. And in this game, he had 8 rebounds. A lot of the bench players as well getting those tough offensive rebounds, like Kayson Wallace. Alex Caruso, another obviously unsung hero. He's that great guy off the bench that he had 10 points. He had 3 rebounds and some great defense as well. You mentioned Dort, 7 rebounds. And he didn't have the greatest offensive game, but his defense was fantastic against those Pacers shooting guards. Look at the Pacers shooting guards of their starting unit. Nesmith had just 3 points. You look at Obi Toppin off the bench, had a goose egg. Ben Shepherd off the bench had a goose egg. Like, these are not great numbers. And that's the biggest thing when you have Haliburton not scoring that high 25-point potential that the Pacers are still trying to figure out. Yes, they have random bench players that are broken out, like Nembhard, like Mathurin in this game. But that's the only thing that's still holding them back when you don't have the volume score, because the Thunder have that with Shea. Shea had 29 points in that game, and he's had 30 points most of the series. You had Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, all 3 of them at the same time scoring. They can get away with that. The Pacers can't get away with it as much when you don't have that type of scoring factor. But the Pacers had a gritty game. You got to give them their defense a lot of credit. They hung tough. They didn't allow
a lot of threes in the first half.
They had a lot of threes in the first half, like I was saying, with those bench unit guys. Mathurin led the team in 24 points, had 13 rebounds in that game. So he definitely showed.
Who the hell is this guy, too? Mathurin. He goes up, he goes
the one
down.
I wanted to Knicks to draft 3 years ago. I remember that.
Unbelievable where this guy comes from. I never even heard of him
from Arizona, yeah.
Through the playoffs. Yeah. I didn't even know he even existed until the playoffs. And that tells you how much I watch the Indianapolis Pacers. I call it Indianapolis because that's where they're in. Yeah. Indiana Pacers, but they're the Indianapolis Pacers in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, by the way, I don't know if anybody knows this. The OKC Thunder are the first team in NBA history that had 4 second-round draft picks in their lineup and part of their rotation, and 3 of them were G League players. They came from the G League, and one of them was Alex Caruso, who actually won 2 NBA championships. Yep. So, and by the way, that trade for Alex Caruso probably won them that championship because Alex Caruso was the unsung hero throughout the series, defending multiple positions, great rebounder, scored many different ways in this series. It was just fun to watch. I mean, OKC is young. They're young guns. They're guys that you expect to be here next year. I don't know, in the Western Conference, when you look at teams like the Mavericks, yes, they're going to get Cooper Flagg. They might have a healthy Kyrie Irving at some point. And obviously Anthony Davis. Maybe the Mavericks will challenge them next year. Maybe the Lakers will make a trade and get a big-time player to add to Luka Doncic and LeBron James. We all know it's the LJA. So LeBron James getting the player that he wants, it might happen. Jalen Green, he went over there to the Suns. Do you think Jalen Green's going to stay there with the Suns? Not a chance in hell. I expect Phoenix to trade him in the next couple of weeks, maybe even before the draft, a week away from today. So
it's now the LJA with now the same owner with the Dodgers that did all the deferred money. So the sky's the limit for what LeBron can manipulate to bring over there to the Lakers. If they have it,
it makes sense.
They'll change the CBA now to allow the deferred money so LeBron can get what he wants.
I know a lot of people don't like Jalen Green, and I know everybody's going to say, well, Jalen Green sucked over there with the Rockets. If LeBron James gets a hold of him and gets him in his claws, he could turn Jalen Green into a great player. He helped Kyrie Irving develop. He's helped a lot of players over the years develop. If he gets a guy that can lead him and lead him to stray and put him in position to succeed, Jalen Green is a great offensive option guy that could be a third option to a team that has LeBron James, who's giving you 24 to 25 points. Luka Doncic next year, who lost about 30 pounds in the last couple of weeks, last month. If you have a healthy Luka Doncic next year, who's giving you 35 points and an MVP candidate, and then you have Jalen Green giving you about 18, 19 points, man, the Lakers could be considered one of the best teams in the Western Conference to challenge OKC as well. So, I mean, it's a lot of interesting things that could happen in the next couple of weeks. I know everybody says, well, the Knicks don't have a head coach. The Knicks are a stupid organization. I will tell you this. The Knicks waited, because I'm sure they're interested in interviewing some of the Indiana coaches and probably some of the OKC Thunder coaches. But all in all, I think they know who they're going to hire. It's going to be Johnny Bryant. I expect it to happen in the next week before the draft. And don't be surprised if that happens. But stop crying, Knick fans. There's a lot more and a lot of other teams that should be crying more than you.
Yeah, going back to OKC, I just want to finish up with this before you go, Joba. They also had for a young team, the adversity aspect that I think was something that I questioned too. I also picked the Lakers at the start of the postseason to go to the playoffs, go to the finals, because I thought LeBron and Luka being there together. The Celtics I had repeating. I was thinking that was going to happen. But again, OKC young last year, and they ended up losing to a 5 seed. I think that Nuggets series really gave them a sense of adversity when they were losing on all those buzzer beaters, when they had the collapse the way they did. And then they blow them out in game 7. I think that gave him a sense of confidence. And Shea, Fish, you were talking about it before we went on the air, shot 8 for 27, but he still did so many other things very well. He got 12 assists. He still was playing great defense. I know Haliburton was out. Maybe Haliburton does lead the Pacers. It's definitely possible. But again, this was a game that was won with defense, which is the identity that the Thunder want to bring. And they still had that defense throughout the whole game on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think it was obviously a tale of two halves. Defense we knew was going to somehow just bottle them up, because for I think it was 6 or 7 minutes into the third quarter, nobody else scored except TJ McConnell. And there's no chance you're going to win. And as soon as I saw it, then I was like, okay, well, it's been 4 minutes he scored. It's been 5 minutes, and I'm like, it's going to turn into a blowout. And it just goes to the depth and the defensive just prowess that they had and just the aggressiveness. And, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you have to play through adversity, obviously, in any sport, no matter what. But being in a Game 7, having that happen like that, we've seen it before, and it's never easy. And you got to have guys step up. And they just didn't. They ran out of gas. I mean, you could see how tired TJ was, in the second half towards the end, because he was trying to do everything. He went off for a while, and it was fun to watch, but nobody else was doing anything. They were, they're getting to the cup, but when you have guys that are athletic as SGA and then Chet obviously doing what he did yesterday, and how he is way more athletic than I thought defensively, and how he would switch off guys and protect the rim. And obviously half the time he didn't have to jump. He just kind of had to go on his tiptoes, but it was just, it was a fun game, but then you just kind of knew how it was going to play out. And it played out like, I'm just glad they didn't get blown out by like 30. And he just,
well, the Pacers bench was still there. They were doing enough to keep him in the game in the second
right.
quarter.
Well, and then they couldn't get a bucket. They got it down to 12 with like 6 minutes to go. I'm like, they still got a chance, but then they just couldn't make a bucket. And then they hit a big 3, and they get to the line. But when you force 21 turnovers and you only have 6, that just tells you what it is. And hats off to Chet, because he was doo-doo Magoo in Game 6.
That's a good take right there.
Yeah.
That's a good cut up. That'll
be your most used prop now.
My butt. And so good for him. And It was cool to see like everybody celebrating. He goes over to Silver, and like he wanted to just touch. Like everybody was celebrating, but he wanted to go over and just touch the trophy, and then got pictures with his family, and just was very candid about him not staying healthy. And I wasn't really sold on him and then obviously he gets hurt, so you're like, oh, another one of these. But hats off to him for working his butt off and expanding his game and getting better. So we'll see what happens next year and what they do. It'll be there's going to be some interesting things that happen in this draft. We obviously know one guaranteed, but there'll be some stuff.
Something happened with our internet. Ooh. We might have to go to a quick break, guys. We might have to go to a quick break because our internet just went down. Oh, and it came back. There it is. It went back and it went forward.
We still got you. It's been a little glitchy, but we got you tonight, I think.
All right.
You never stopped on our end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back now. So it did turn blue. It went from red to blue pretty quickly.
It was red for about 10 seconds.
It could just be like the wires are melting. It's so damn hot.
It's the heat. It's so bad over here, guys.
It's going to be worse tomorrow. It's going to be 98 tomorrow by
102 by us, and it was 96 at its highest point today. It was really, really warm, and I have an air conditioning now blasting. When I came home, I had to go buy a really what was it, a Frederick? It's a top end air conditioning. My landlord said, go out and get yourself a top end. I'll put it in, and I think it's what 8,000. 8,000? What do they call those things? I don't know. Anyways,
8,000 BTUs.
So, go ahead. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
8,000 BTUs. There he is. It's strong. It's strong as somebody's what.
This makes my pecker hard.
Somebody's pecker. Go ahead.
It was 114 here, so suck on that.
114.
That's what makes the corn so good is the heat in this time of year. It's just beautiful. The sun.
Joba shoving up his ass.
Incubate.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Gotta grow some hair.
I'm sure they got plenty of corn in Indiana also, but they're not going to have a great basketball team next year without Haliburton, man. And that, for me, as a Knicks fan, I was really upset with Haliburton, obviously, his antics during the series, but you don't want to see a guy go out like this. There's some people that are kind of reveling in this a little too much. One of our fans was, who was putting up there, Kevin, was a little too happy about the injury. Look, don't be too happy about the injury. That's what karma is. He was like, oh, it's karma. Like, no. You saying it's karma is going to mean something bad's going to happen to the Knicks now. So don't do that, Kevin. The Knicks need to have this wide open East next year. Who's better than the Knicks right now going into next season? Even if they don't do anything. Because that's a key guy is hurt other than the Cavs, and I'm not super afraid of the Cavs.
But doesn't this actually upset you? Because think about it. If Indiana is bad next year, they'll be a playoff, borderline play. But if they're not, they fall off next year. They're going to get a top lottery pick next year with Haliburton coming back and the team that they have together. Same thing with a team like the Boston Celtics. They could be really, really bad. Jalen Brown could go. I'm hearing stories that Jalen Brown, Kobe's wife, or there's some stories coming out that he could be dating Kobe's wife.
Hear that, yeah.
That could be happening. I don't really care about that. I know everybody keeps saying, but Jalen Brown, there are stories coming out that Boston might let Jalen Brown go and get his knee surgery in the offseason. That means he could be out a half a season. Boston could be really, really, really bad next year, and they could get a lottery pick. Could you imagine what that team's going to be the year after if they have a healthy Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and whoever they draft in next year's draft?
They'll draft a Boozer brother.
By the way, it's one of the
We'll
best.
worry about that when we get there, man. I just want the Knicks to have a chance. They got such a good chance now going into next year.
They'll choke like they always do. Unfortunately.
Well, we'll see who the coach is. I hope they have a little bit more of a creative defensive system if they're going to stay with Towns and Robinson. Because, look, the Knicks, those guys didn't play together. They were all hurt at different points of the season. So they never ran that Robinson-Towns lineup until they got to the playoffs. So it just, you need to play together. If you're going to run any kind of defensive system, especially the really, dependent on each other system Tibbs had, it just wasn't going to work. And I think we saw it at the worst time by a coach who knew how to exploit it. Carlisle deserves all the credit in the world for getting that team to really get to that point. I don't think you can give all the credit to Haliburton. I think Carlisle deserves a whole lot of credit. I mean, we were talking about it last week, Errol. Think about what he did. He was able to defeat the coach of the year in at the Cavs with our buddy. I can't forget his name right now. Cavs coach Kenny
Atkinson.
Our boy Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson.
Then he beats the Knicks so bad Tibbs gets fired, and then he goes to Game 7 and only loses. And I don't know. The way Haliburton was playing, it looked like it was going to be one of those 30-point triple doubles. When he hit those 3 threes from way downtown, like he was Steph Curry to start the game, my God, it looked like we were about to see it again. And I think that's the only reason they lose. I think he coached almost a perfect playoffs, as good as you possibly can coach. And I think he deserves all the credit in the world.
He deserves a lot of credit. And nobody's going to take away from Rick Carlisle. I know Joba says he was part of those Boston teams. I could care less because he barely played. We know he's a great basketball mind. There's no question he's a great basketball mind. And me and Fish were talking about it. I think it was yesterday or today. We were talking about
today, yeah.
That he probably is a top 2 coach right now in the NBA. Him and Spoelstra, you can argue, are the 2 best coaches in the NBA. And I don't think he's better than Spoelstra because Spoelstra has done it with multiple teams, and he's an impressive.
Yeah, he did it with an 8 seed.
Yeah, he's impressive. He's an impressive coach. Pat Riley disciple, and a lot of those guys. Look at it. There's stories coming out that Jeff Van Gundy is interviewing for the Knicks coach again.
Oh yeah,
coaching job again. So I don't want Jeff Van Gundy. He's an old man. I don't want the old.
I'd rather have him on TV calling the game than what the crap we had for that entire series.
I've also
my God.
Did you hear that? Stephen A. Smith is pushing for Mark Jackson. I don't want Mark Jackson for one reason. Mark Jackson is a great personality, but in front of the press here in New York, he will make a mockery out of the New York Knicks if the Knicks start to lose. It will be really, really bad. So, and they will.
Mark Jackson.
I'm just saying, they'll drop the hammer on Mark Jackson over here pretty quickly. He'll be like Derek Fisher. You know how quick Derek Fisher was in and out because he was sleeping with other people's wives? That's what's going to happen. I don't think Mark Jackson. By the way, does anybody know the story about Mark Jackson after he got fired? He was out in New York and he was going senile and he was talking about like Jesus Christ being rebirthed and something like that. He was on a video and embarrassed himself. Like he really embarrassed himself when it came to preaching about certain things and the devil. I mean, I don't want Mark Jackson going out there in the public eye and saying something stupid that's going to make us look bad, worse than we always do as New Yorkers. So I don't want Mark Jackson for all the people, speaking about Mark Jackson being the next head coach for the Knicks. But then again, Rick Carlisle is a sensational coach. You got to give him a lot of credit. And again, the Pacers deserve a lot of credit for all the trials and tribulations they've had all season long. The injuries that they've had, the comebacks that they've had, and the way they shot the ball. When they needed to hit threes and big threes, they did it. The problem with the NBA, you'll ride with the 3, you die with the 3. And that's what happened with Indiana. And that's why I think the NBA and the LJA, whatever you want to call it, is impossible to understand. These 3-point lines. Eventually, I've been hearing stories that the NBA could try to fit that tournament a 4-point line where you could shoot 4-point shots. I do not want to see that. The NBA needs to stop this disgrace of a basketball game when it comes to, now everybody's going to be chucking up 4 points. Hey, it's 4 points.
You remember Rock and Jock on MTV?
Yeah, I remember the Rock and Jock game.
Well, and NBA Jam, they used to have the hot spots where you can dunk from for an 8-pointer from the behind the line or behind the half court. It is all so stupid. And I agree. And Errol, I was actually talking to a high school basketball coach today who just went to me. He's like, I don't watch the NBA. I was like, did you see the game last night? And he goes, I don't watch the NBA. He's like, I can't deal with just these 3-pointers. 3-pointers killing the game. And he's an old man, so he's gotten to the point where he remembers the game for probably about 30 plus years without a shot clock, without a 3-point line. And he just hates what we were talking about. I'm like, look, it's when we have that 5-out look, when you have all the teams running it, everyone's just standing around the perimeter. Even OKC's doing it. It's just Shea dribbling at the top of the key or coming off from an angle, and there's maybe one action screen away. It's nothing crazy. They don't do anything that used to be intricate like we used to see. There's very few teams running a motion offense like Popovich did for a number of years, where there's and you can go back in teams that used to do more different, like the triangle offense, where it's just the ball's moving. So it's entertaining basketball, and guys are cutting. Guys are in the post and setting, screens in the post. We don't see any of that anymore. We just see whoever's got the best shooting night and whoever can play the best perimeter defense is the winner. And it's not as fun of a game. And that sucks.
It's boring, and that's why I don't like watching it in the regular season. Nobody cares about the regular season with the NBA.
I think they need
Nobody cares.
the fix it, Errol, to me is illegal offense. Like they used to have illegal defense. No more 5 out. You cannot have a 5 out set.
How about bringing hand checking back to the NBA? That would be fun. That's what you want to see, and stop with these flagrant 1s and flagrant 2s and technical fouls. Let the game be a little bit more rougher. Make the game a little bit more fun. When the game was like that in the 90s, it was fun to watch. Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley swinging at each other. I want to see that. Kenny the Jet Smith, cursing out, Vernon Maxwell because he tried to hip check him when he was going up for a layup. That's what I want to see. That's what made the game so fun to watch. Now you put a pinky on LeBron James. He's going up and shooting 2 free throws. I don't want to see it anymore. Or Steph Curry shooting up a 3, and because he's flopping and dopping, one of the worst, James Harden. Mr. Flopper himself.
He's the worst.
He chucks up 3s, and then he's going to the free throw line, shooting 3 free throws. I don't want to see that. It's an easy 3 points, and that gives teams much better chances to winning games, especially in the regular season. That's why none of these young kids even care about that. It's fantasy sports and money making. Joba, you know all about it, is what could you bring to me when it comes to my pocket? As I was on the boat and the cruise trip, what are they doing practically 90% of the time? They were gambling. That's what they were doing on the boat. Gamble, gamble, gamble. Gobble, 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 like the chicken always do. Or the rooster. Speedy, you know all that, Cox. Anyways, that's the next one.
No, that's the turkeys.
Well, wait a second. Roosters are not turkeys.
Well, they're the ones that gobble.
Well,
No, yeah, turkeys gobble.
Oh, whatever. Anyways, ESPN reports that Kevin Durant is being traded to the Rockets, his 4th different team since leaving the Thunder in 2016. The Suns will get back the number 10 overall pick in this year's draft. 5 second-round draft picks and guard Jalen Green. And yes, once again, he's going somewhere else, the one and only Dillon Brooks. Reports say that the Rockets, Spurs, and Heat were 3 landing spots for Durant preferred to be traded to. Durant also mentioned wanting to go to the Rockets because of his relationships with his head coach, Ime Udoka. Yes, I said it right. From his team with the Nets and USA Basketball. Durant was the best in the NBA this year with 49.7% shooting percentage on jump shots and 53.1% in mid-range shots. The Rockets were 24th in the NBA this year in effective field goals percentage on jump shots and 27th on shots off the dribble, something Durant is very strong at. After the trade, the Rockets betting odd to win next year's NBA title was 18-1, second highest, only behind the Thunder. What are they on drugs? I love Kevin Durant. He's a great player. Besides his Twitter pics or his Twitter feeds, I love Kevin Durant, his nonsense off the court and his greatness on the basketball court. This is not the Kevin Durant when he was 28, 29, or even 30. This is Kevin Durant, who's 36 years old this year. He's an old man, okay? He's a good player. He still can shoot the 3. He's still one of the more efficient guys that you would expect that gets the ball and shoots the ball. The problem with Kevin Durant is he gets hurt too much. The problem right now with the Rockets, they gave away depth. Dillon Brooks is a good defender. Dillon Brooks is a good enforcer. You losing Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green and the 10th overall pick, you're not looking towards this year's draft saying, oh, well, the Rockets still could add a piece with Kevin Durant and the players that they have where they could get over the hump. Here's the problem right now with the Western Conference. As much as they're 18-1 betting favorites, that doesn't mean crap. And by the way, everybody that says, hey, you know what? There's something about Vegas that they know something that we don't. Here's what Vegas is trying to try to persuade you. That look, the LJA doesn't know what the organization and the product is going to do in the offseason to help LeBron James. Because we all know LeBron James is going to get something out of this. As we've seen Cooper Flagg go to the Mavericks when they're a 1.8% percentage chance to get the number 1 pick. Just think about it. 1.8%. That's 98%. There was a 98% chance they couldn't get Cooper Flagg, and they got the number 1 pick. Why? Because the LJA and LeBron James got what he wanted. Luka friggin' Doncic. That's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. But nevertheless, you go back and you look at this situation, and I like I said, I'm going to go back to Kevin Durant. I like him. A lot of Knicks fans would have rathered him going to the Knicks. What were the Knicks willing to give up to get Kevin Durant? OG Anunoby, I've heard. Mikal Bridges, I heard that could be involved. Miles McBride was another name that could have been involved with that trade. Mitchell Robinson, who the Knicks fans just absolutely adore. Do you want to give up 2 pieces or 3 pieces to the puzzle to get a Kevin Durant, who, by the way, didn't want to come to the Knicks when he had a chance to come to the Knicks, when he decided to go to the Nets to play with Kyrie Irving and then drew out James Harden? What a debacle that was. The fact is, Kevin Durant isn't the same Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant couldn't do it himself. Kevin Durant is now going to a Rockets team that has who? Who's the other guy on this roster? Sweetie, please tell me, who is the other guy on this roster that scares you when it comes to making a run for an NBA title? Please.
The next best player you're looking at, scoring wise, is probably Van Vliet. Overall, is probably Sengun.
Vliet.
Sengun's the next best player.
Sengun is the best all-around player
for sure.
Sengun, yeah.
Are you big man?
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me this guy?
They got a big man, and they got a guard in Van Vliet who's been there for a title. He won a title in Toronto. Wasn't the guy there, but
they've been trying to trade Van Vliet for the last 2 years at the trade deadline. They don't even want him there. This is a crock, and I don't want to sit here and to say that Kevin Durant didn't want that to happen with the Suns when they added the pieces that they had with Bradley Beal over there and Booker. They had a better trio over there than he does over here with the Rockets. I understand Ime Udoka is a good coach. Great. He also likes to get into other people's pants. He's married and he likes to jump ship every single time. Hey, does he have hoes in different area codes? Maybe we should ask his wife. Nevertheless, I could care less. The fact right now is Kevin Durant is heading to the Houston Rockets. I know, Jamie Lee, you don't like it, or maybe you do. I know you're a Rockets fan. The fact is, Rocket fans cannot be happy. Do you remember the last OKC Thunder players that have gone to the Rockets? Let's go back. Russell Westbrook was over there with James Harden. How did that work out? Please tell me. They were both there. Both of them were there playing with each other. How did that debacle work out for them? It didn't. James Harden, a ball hog. Russell Westbrook, a ball hog. You also had Chris Paul there. How did that work out? They had better teams and better players there. Adding Kevin Durant there, what does that do for the organization? It doesn't do nothing. And I don't know why anybody, including Vegas, thinks they're the 18-1 favorites out of the Western Conference. How about Denver? You're going to tell me Denver's not going to add pieces in the offseason and maybe trade away pieces? I've heard that Jamal Murray could be traded in the offseason. Teams interested in bringing in a point guard to help them out. You put another piece with a guy like Jokic? Are you kidding me? You're going to give them the 18-1 favorites, the second best team to come out of the West? What are you, on drugs? LJA, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm saying. Vegas and the LJA. Who's sleeping with who? Is Adam Silver sleeping with somebody over there in Vegas, or his ears flying away like Dumbo? He looked terrible, by the way. He went up there carrying that freaking trophy. One of his ears were bigger than the freaking trophy. I mean, honestly, his nose really stuck out too. He looks like Pope Pinocchio. I am so tired of Adam Silver and the NBA and these executives thinking that this is a great sport and this is a great product that they have. Now, I'll go back to what I said. I know everybody's going to look at me and say, wait a second. Errol, you just said the product has been the best. I mean, the closest that it's ever been. Here's the problem.
Doesn't he look like Dracula?
Oh, man, he looks so bad. Dude, he is one of the goofiest looking guys I've ever seen. All right? He is goofy. But nevertheless, he is goofy. He almost took over for Disney as the CEO of Disney. He's perfect. So that's how he left.
Pretty good. That was pretty good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anyways, getting back to the NBA and the way the NBA works. I love those bad guy teams, the Lakers of the 80s, the Celtics of the 80s, the 90s, or even the late 80s, the Detroit Pistons, or the Chicago Bulls, or the Rockets were a very likable team, so I can't say they were the mean people. even San Antonio, they were a team that you cheered on because everybody liked Greg Popovich, and Tim Duncan was a quiet guy that went out there and played the game. But you like those bad guys. The Lakers of the early 2000s with Kobe Bryant, the assassin that he was, the Mamba, before he became the Mamba, and Shaquille O'Neal shut his mouth. I'm a Diesel. I'm going to take the hoop and shove it up your ass. Those kind of guys. There was always those teams that you love to hate. LeBron James with the Miami Heat. Remember that? With Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. You love to hate those teams. Even the LeBron James of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. You hated those teams. The NBA don't have that anymore. Who do you hate? You have Indiana and Haliburton choking when he's playing in Madison Square Garden. Am I really that scared of Tyrese Haliburton and the crap that they have over there? OKC is a good young team. Do you think OKC is going to win the championship next year? Right now, when you look at the numbers and the statistics, you'd probably say no. They don't have that assassin over there. Shea is a great player. Is he really that much of an assassin over there for the Thunder? For that, you could say, oh man, they're gonna absolutely win another title. There's a lot of questions there. So I mean, I know Fish is sitting here laughing and happy that the Knicks have the best chance to win the East and maybe go to the NBA Finals. I don't trust the Knicks. And I don't trust the NBA because there's no team out there that scares me and says, hey, you know what? I don't want to play that team next year. I don't want to play because they have that assassin. They have Shea Alexander that really scares me. He's a great offensive player, but he doesn't scare me. That's why Haliburton, I thought, was the assassin of this series. Even though Shea was that player, when Haliburton took over certain games, I think some people remember what Haliburton was doing in this series when he took over some of those games than Shea Alexander. When he was averaging 28, 29 points in this series. So that's the only problem right now in the NBA. There's no assassin team that everybody wants to beat. Nobody. Golden State. I hated Golden State. Everybody hated Golden State when they would have Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. There's nothing out there right now in the NBA that the NBA provides where it says, hey, I want to play that team. And that's the problem right now with the LJA, LeBron James Association. LeBron James has taken this product and shoved it up his ass.
And that's what makes them the Lakers.
Clapped it right out.
Yeah, the Lakers might be the most hateable team for that reason.
Yes.
Like, I always gave up the booty.
As LeBron James always gives up the booty.
And another thing.
Let's go ask P. Diddy for that. You know?
Yeah, the other thing.
A lot of those
maybe too soon. Maybe too soon.
Bend over, LeBron. Okay. P. Was that? Are you happy to see me? That thing is a little small there.
Are you still doing the goofy voice?
I think it just kept carrying on. Honestly,
As long as she's using dude wipes and taking care of my 2-hole, I'm good.
We would never use dude wipes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we should promote that for Disney. Dude wipe, Disney dude wipes. Disney dude wipes. You know, with Goofy, Mickey, Minnie, all of them. Donald Duck. You know, that kind of stuff. Who's quacking, ladies and gentlemen? I'm quacking. I had to go on that boat ride. Cruise.
I almost lost my son at Disney.
Oh, geez.
Oh, I don't want to know the story.
He was hiding in the clothes, like the shirts.
With shirts.
He was like 4.
You sure Minnie wasn't trying to steal him?
No. We found him. He was playing like peekaboo.
Oh God, peekaboo! I see you. That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good drop. Peekaboo. That's right.
I gave up the booty there.
So Errol, would you say it was a successful trip despite all this stuff?
Everybody's going to sit here and tell me, Errol, stop putting down the trip. There are good parts of the trip that I can talk about, and there are a lot of bad ones.
Okay. And better question is, would you do it again?
No, not that. Not Norwegian. I will never go on a Norwegian cruise ship ever again.
So you haven't banged it all together.
No, I'm not going to bang it. And if I'm going to bang it, I'm going to bang it 3 or 4 times. I'm just not going to bang it with that. And if a cruise ship had a tailpipe, I'm not banging it. Okay, I'm moving away from the tailpipe before it bangs me. By the way, I have pictures of a rock almost raping me. That's a whole nother story over there in Bermuda. These pictures, if I showed you these pictures, it would look like I was getting banged in the ass by a rock. Just say. It really does. I told Brittany, I was like, "What the hell are you doing? That looks. Those pictures are horrible. It really looks. And my faces that I'm making, it looks like the Rock's fucking me. Excuse my language, but it looks like it is a horrible sight. Let me tell you. I'll show you guys the picture. I'll send it in a group message. Tell me if it doesn't look like the Rock's raping me. So, and she laughs at it all the time. I say, "Who told you to take that picture? I'm not even looking up. I'm looking down and I'm making these faces because I'm trying to. The Rock was so sharp; it was sticking me, in areas I can't even tell you.
I thought at first he meant like the Rock that you saw in Bermuda, not like a rock.
A rock, a big huge rock, was stabbing me in the ass. Yes, and I was making these weird faces. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I cursed, but it was an interesting Norwegian trip. And I definitely would probably never do Norwegian again. We gotta do. I want to tell them. We have to. I said got to. We have to do a trip with all of us and our significant others. Speedy, you can have your hands. That could be. We could dress your hand up as your significant others. Or you know what? You could take Tommy as your guest. You could sleep together in the bed. What do you think, Tommy? I think that would be cool.
That is a hard pass.
Well, you snore loud enough. I think Speedy's the most quiet sleeper. He curls up.
Won't work.
Dude, he curls up in a ball. It's like I've never seen a fish. You've seen him. He curls up in this little ball.
So I don't know. When I saw him, he looked like Frankenstein's monster, waking up straight up like this, and it was interesting. It was an interesting take. It was late at night though. It was late at night.
Yeah,
he doesn't sleep much, though, I heard.
No, not until 4 or 5 o'clock, and then he'll sleep all the way to 12 of the afternoon or 1. You'll have to really smack him around or even spill water or even piss on his face. I didn't do that, okay? So, but if you did that, I'd probably wake him up, right, Speedy? Would that wake you up? No? You would be sleeping if I pissed on you?
You
don't know.
Wake up.
I don't know.
Just like Kevin Durant's going to wake up the Rockets when he moves on over to them. Do we really think that this is going to lead to anything other than like a low playoff seed and a first-round exit?
I don't think they're going to be a low playoff seed. I think they're going to be...
The West is stacked.
Yeah.
As bad as the East is as good as the West is next year.
I think they're a 5th or 6th seed. That's where I think the Rockets are. Now, if Kevin Durant stays healthy and he plays 68 games, I think the Rockets are a 4th seed. That's where I think they are. But I don't expect Kevin Durant to play 68 games. I'll be very surprised if Kevin Durant plays 48, 50 games. And what tells me is when you're looking at the talent that they have around him, unless they're planning to add another piece this offseason, I just don't see it. I don't know where Vegas believes that they're an 18-1 favorite to come out of the West. It just doesn't make any sense. So I agree with you. They're stacked. The Western Conference is stacked. And we're going to have Mr. Roy coming on. And and he's gonna. I'm sure he's going to have his take to it because Tim has been on our show before, and over the years he said what he thought the Golden State Warriors are going to be. He mentioned that Meyer. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, Speedy, if I'm not mistaken. He said that Meyer was thinking about stepping down.
Yeah, he did.
And
first time we had him on was in 2020. Yeah,
and he said that once that happens, Golden State's going to start to get rid of pieces and start to rebuild, and they haven't. I'm not going to say they have won because they haven't, but they've come close, but they haven't gotten over the hump since Meyer left when they beat the Boston Celtics in the finals that year. And it's now your transition. You're bringing Jimmy buckets. You still have Steph there. I think if I was the Golden State Warriors, and that's something I want to talk about with Roy, do you trade Steph Curry? Do you try to get as much as you can for Steph Curry?
No way.
I think they should.
They can't do it. It'd be like trading Derek Jeter. You can't do that.
Well, wait a second. If you're a team and an organization that might be, I don't know, a team that is more than 2 players away, why would you ride or die with Steph Curry that has maybe 2 or 3 years left? Maybe at best.
He's not the guy you're trading because that skill shooting, even if he can't be the one that creates the shots later on in his career, he's going to be able to do that for a long time, right? He could be a catch and shoot guy off the bench for 20 points in like 15 minutes when he's 43 if he really wanted to. He's not going to want to, I don't think.
You're not going to win.
He's 30, but no, he doesn't have to be the main guy at that point.
But I
think he's still good enough to be the main guy for another year, maybe 2. And and we'll see next year, because you're right. Jimmy Buckets is old also. This is the year that they're going to go all in, and I wonder what they do.
All right, we have a caller. He's been on our network for the last year and a half. Very happy to have him on. He is the lead guy for Snowman in the Morning, Brian Snow. Snowman, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, partner? Glad you're safe back from your trip, and thanks for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, we love you. You're unbelievable on the radio. You have a great personality and always give great sports takes. So what would you like to talk about?
Who the hell said the Houston Rockets will be competitive this coming year just because they got Kevin Durant?
I wonder.
Or as I love to say on my show in the mornings, what in the all types of blue hell is that?
Blue hell, is that where Kevin Durant lives?
Right now he does.
That might be one of his Twitter handles now.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. All 7 or 8 of them, and maybe 10 of them by the time he's done with the Houston Rockets. You know, it's interesting. Vegas came out with the numbers today over the last 24 hours, and give him 18-1 odds, which is second right now in the Western Conference. What are your thoughts to that?
Second in the Western Conference. We're talking about the same Kevin Durant, whose best basketball was left in the Bay, mind you. His 2 best years were in the Bay. And now that he's going to be in his 18th season out of Texas and playing in Texas, and they say they're the second best team. I'll repeat a question that you said earlier in the conversation. Who else on that team frightens you?
Nobody. Van Vliet.
Who else on the team frightens you?
Van Vliet, who they tried to trade last year at the trade deadline, and nobody really wanted him. No, and do you know what they tried to get for Van Vliet? I'm not even going to say, because they're absolutely out of their minds if they think Van Vliet is worth any of the pieces they were offering.
I mean, does Oklahoma City really scare you next year? No. Do the Houston Rockets kind of scare you for next year?
No.
Not a chance. Okay? I always say on my show, to beat the champs, you have to unseat the champs. Somebody's going to unseat OKC. And unfortunately, in my eyes, they're going to be a one-hit wonder. And I have to borrow a phrase of yours, the LJA for the NBA. I got to start using that on my show. That is a classic.
Yeah.
I got to use that.
Brian, you are the number one critic of LeBron James for like the last since you've called the show 6 years ago.
As long as you have listened to me on the air, which now covers 7 years, you know I do not, and it's not being critical of LeBron alone. I give you this word in kindness. It's these bronzexuals that piss me off.
Bronzexuals.
The best one was like 3 years ago when I found on your Facebook, you posted something about LeBron on your Facebook, and one of the guys, I don't know the guy that commented. It's like, where does LeBron rank in your top 10 in NBA history? I'm like, where does LeBron rank in your top 50 in NBA history? And you said nowhere.
That's where
they try to get me every time with these LeBron James posts. You know, oh, he's top 10, he's top 20. Are you out of your rabbit ass rat picking mind? I can tell you 10 forwards off the top of my head that played a better fundamentally sound forward that are better than him. And I'll give you 2 names that really grate their nerves, and I keep bringing them up just because they grate their nerves. One is Tom Chambers. There's Jack Sikma. I bring those 2
you're going
up.
back, man. You're going back.
I know
back.
Chambers. I don't know the other one.
I know them both. I know both players, and they were great players. But I'm going to tend to disagree with you. As you know, my thoughts to LeBron James. I think he's the second greatest basketball player of all time. I just look at numbers, and I know people are going to question numbers because of longevity, but you have to play and you have to last, and LeBron James has lasted, and he's had the longevity, so I'm not going to take that away. But again, you could argue, I mean, a lot of people have argued LeBron James' stature and where he stays as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
You and I are going to be arguing for the rest of our lives as long as we remain friends, and we're going to, because this is a subject that makes us both laugh all the time, okay?
It always does, yeah.
That's why I love that. That's why I love doing it. That's exactly why I love doing it, and that's exactly why I love doing the show. But you're interviewing one of my favorite radio guys in Tim Roy. I had a chance to meet him in Chicago. Delightful, delightful person. I'm mad at you now
Why? What did I do?
You got Tim Roy on the air.
I'll tell you what. You listen to the interview and you'll hear what I say. Say to Tim, I'm gonna get Tim to lock in with you and get him on your show. How's that?
You got it. And one of my other favorite announcers just retired, Bill Schoening, longtime voice of the San Antonio Spurs. He's always been on my show. Save some of the, if I bring you on this week, or when I bring you on this week, man, save some of this LGA energy, because I got to bring you on and clear about 30 minutes and let you cut loose.
Well, I might be cutting some cheese by the time that's over.
Brian, if you're only going to give him 30 minutes, you might want to extend that. If you're only going to give him 30
Thanks
minutes.
for having me on, buddy. I appreciate you.
Well, something's going to be cut. It just, hopefully it's not something coming. By the way, some of the food that I ate on that cruise gave me the worst gas. Man, I was letting it go. Brittany was telling me in the room, she's like, go into the bathroom. I've never heard so much, or not even smelt it, just heard so much gas come out of somebody as much as you. I don't know what was in it, but there was a lot of salt in the food, and it just I was letting it go. It was everywhere. I had a kid behind me, and I was just, I tried to squeeze the cheeks, guys. He was like linear from my ass, and I just let one go.
You should have saved it for all those like spoiled 15-year-olds in the club.
I'm just telling you the truth. The truth is, and it's not. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Well, and if I am beating around the bush, it's doing something else in the bed. But nevertheless, I am just telling you that when I was walking, I was trying to squeeze the cheeks, and this kid was behind me, and I just let one go. And he heard me, by the way. It was pretty loud. And Brittany just sat there. Well, she didn't sat. She walked in front of me, laughing and smirking. I was moving through the hallway. But unfortunately, there are cruises that when you eat food, it makes your stomach not work. But go ahead, Snowman. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. Or cut the cheese off.
He hung up already.
Oh, we lost him? Oh, that sucks. By the way, that was Snowman in the Morning. Go check his show out on our network and throughout all the different networks that he's on. He is sensational. He's one of the most talented broadcasters in the business. He really is. He doesn't get enough credit. Yep. He really is funny, laid back, really clever on his takes, as you heard, the Bronzexuals. He is very clever on his presentation when it comes to his show. So fantastic personality as always. But go ahead, Fish. I know you just popped right in and, pop some cherries like Speedy always says, right?
No, you say pop cherries. I have no idea what the hell that even means.
Well, Errol, while you were gone, we had a great guest on, before we get up to our next guest, Frank Luna, who offered Speedy this great all-inclusive for him and a lady that he either brings or finds in the VIP free tab. Joba agreed to give him the room for the night. And then we got to go down to the shore, and this is at the Stone Pony, where they have their concert series. So you get to have like a rock show too, Speedy.
Speedy get laid?
That's what we're talking about here. And Speedy, in case you were wondering, that's what poppin' cherries means.
With a better shot of Brian Snow putting Braun in his top 20 than that.
Bring it full circle for you. I don't know, Speedy. I feel like that's like the perfect scenario. Your kind of music, everything covered, VIP. I don't know, man.
Where did this conversation come from? Actually, that's what I want to know. Where did that come from? The conversation come or start where Joba says, "Hey, you know what? I'll pay for it."
I think it was some reference. We were going back and forth about something, and he's like, "All right, I'll do this," and I was like, "All right, if you take care of the tab, I'll take care of the room." Yeah. I don't know where it originated from, but
it was a great interview. He was fantastic, Frank. It really was a great guest. I hope you guys get a chance to see it. I think Speedy might have cut the interview for you guys to watch on our YouTube. And if you haven't seen our videos, everybody,
about 2 hours ago.
Make sure that you're subscribing on YouTube. You get all of our videos.
Yes.
You can find us promoting them throughout Twitter, through Instagram, our shorts, our reels. It's a real great time watching our stuff. You know what I mean? Like we really have a whole lot of content 7 days a week. If you just like the show, if you're listening on Apple, there's so much you can get on social media. Give us a follow, boys. Give us a follow, girls.
Yeah, well, I just want to let everybody know something. It doesn't matter if I'm on the show or not. You should be tuning into the show with or without me. I know it's very rare that I'm not on a show. When I'm on a vacation that I almost get arrested or laying farts or dropping a deuce in certain areas that by the way, that was another thing that happened to me, but that's a whole nother story. I accidentally went into the wrong room. That's a whole nother story. And
I thought you meant you like pooped your pants.
No, I actually wasn't paying attention. The room I thought it was my room, but it was the other room on the door before my room. And I walked into the door and I went to the bathroom and I walked out and some girl was practically undressed. But that's a whole nother story that I'll tell you a little bit later in the show. So anyways, when we got to do our golf clap of the day. Go ahead.
This deserves a golf clap.
No doubt. Golf clap. Golf clap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our golf clap of the day goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, I can't wait for this one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they finally signed the number 2 overall pick, Travis Hunter, for 4 years. Yes, rookie contract worth about $46 million. Why is this my golf clap, ladies and gentlemen? Because for an organization that absolutely falls flat in their face, absolutely falls flat on more faces than one, including a face that looks like a gremlin. And for a guy who I think is one of the most overrated players to come out of the draft in about 20 years, who gets $46 million and not a quarterback, tells me one thing about the organization. Absolute dumbasses. And why is $46 million going to make this organization look bad? Well, I don't know. Ask Travis Hunter after the season. So my golf clap of the day goes to the one and only Jacksonville Jaguars as the stupid organization lays the smacketh and gives this idiot 46 mil. Ladies and gentlemen, the golf clap of the day goes to the one and only stupid Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, what a wonderful move by that organization. How stupid could you be? You pay a guy that's not a quarterback, a number 2 pick, overall pick, $46 million. I would say that I remember Zach Wilson. The Jets gave Zach Wilson less money. I think he got like $36 or $38 million, and he was the number 2. He was the second pick of the first round, and he was a quarterback. And this guy's not even a quarterback. He's making almost $7-8 million more than Zach Wilson. I'm not saying Zach Wilson was any good, but this guy's not even a quarterback. He's making $46 million. Makes no sense. That just shows you how stupid the organization is. And I'm sure that family and Travis Hunter is very happy because he just robbed an organization for $46.5 million. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think he needs a golf clap. If you want to give him one, you should. This guy is one of the best. I said it. One of the great broadcasters and play-by-play guys in the business. One of the greatest basketball analysts in the business. He's been on our show. He's got a great personality, and he is the voice of the one and only Steph Curry, Golden State Warriors, play-by-play broadcaster, Tim Roy. But first, our Sports Minute with the only one that says he's a fisherman himself, the only fish, Aaron Fishman.
This is the Joba The Mouth Sports Minute.
Hey guys, Aaron Fishman here with your Sports Minute. Going to give you a few stories before we get into the scores this evening. The Anaheim Don't Call Them Mighty Ducks have traded Trevor Zegras to the Philadelphia Flyers for center Ryan Poehling, the 45th pick in Friday's NHL draft, and a 4th-round pick in 2026. Zegras, who was the runner-up for the Calder Trophy as a rookie in 2021-2022, production and availability have tailed off in the past 2 seasons as he's dealt with lower body injuries, including a torn meniscus, and a falling out with coaching. Apparently, new coach Joel Quenneville wants only a positive culture this time out, we hope. And Zegras, the Bedford, New York native, refines the magic he had in new surroundings. Although those surroundings are Philly, so worst of luck to the Broad Street Bullies as always. Giants pitcher Sean Jelly is in the news for the wrong reasons as his wife put the family's business on blast for all to see on social media. In a viral video that garnered well over 4 million views, Jelly's wife, Caroline, posted a video of her playing with her 2 kids with the following overlay: "When my MLB husband abandons us on Mother's Day a week after this, once I finally found out about his affairs and stopped putting up with his abuse, so I've been raising 2 boys alone." A caption accompanying the video reads, "Yeah, I've been silent about too long for this. for too long about this, and includes hashtags such as divorce, cheating, and infidelity. And she was playing the Lord's Man of the Year song in the video. She's posted videos about her in the past couple of months about their relationship falling apart. The Giants released, but here's the thing, now it's about abuse and things have become more serious. The Giants released a statement Saturday. We are aware of these serious allegations. We have been in contact with the MLB. These types of allegations fall under their jurisdiction, and we won't be commenting further. And finally, we have the Braves, who dug themselves an early hole this season, have just lost Chris Sale to the 15-day IL with a fractured rib cage. The move was announced on Saturday and backdated to Thursday as the incident happened on a diving play Sale made on a ground ball by Juan Soto. Sale stayed in to strike out Pete Alonso and give up a bloop single to Brandon Nimmo before exiting. The Braves, who lost young pitcher A.J. Smith-Shover to Tommy John already this season, now have lost Sale to an indeterminate amount of time. Sale had a ribcage injury in 2022 that sidelined him for over 3 months to start the season. The Braves have an $18 million option on Sale for next year, and GM Alex Anthopoulos, when asked if the Braves will trade him, responded emphatically, "Will not happen." Bold, italicize it, caps. Citing the rather affordable option for a pitcher of Sale's caliber when healthy at $18 million. The Braves are 35-41 and 11 games back of NL East leading Phillies and 10 games back of the second place Mets. In baseball this evening, we've got a few games active. The Yankees are trailing the Reds in the bottom of the fifth in Cincinnati 4-1, and they got the bases loaded in Cincinnati for the Reds as well. Struggling over there. The Mets are losing right now as well to the Braves at home 3-2 in the bottom of the sixth. It's 6-0 Diamondbacks in Chicago against the White Sox in the top of the fourth already. 3-1 Pirates over the Brewers, bottom four. At the end of the fourth, going to the top of the fifth, Mariners have a 6-0 lead in Minnesota on the Twins. It's 2-1 Cardinals over the Cubs in the bottom of the fifth in St. Louis. And already completed today, the Orioles blanked the Rangers 6-0. Guys, we are streaming live on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube on our Joba The Mouth handle and on Facebook and Instagram under the Worldwide Sports Radio Network handle. Keep downloading on Apple Podcasts and watch us on Spotify, now in video. Make sure to like and subscribe to all our shorts, reels, TikToks, and longer videos you see from us throughout the week. Now back to Errol, Joba, and Speedy for our guest on Joba and The Mouth.
Any questions?
What is this? We're back. This is the Joba and the Mouth Show.
I don't know if Tim wants me to rhyme. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to hear anything you like. That's all I'm going to say. You're listening to a new show of Joba and the Mouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Joba Chamberlain and Speedy Pete. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including Joba in the Mouth every single Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And before we get our guest in, he's waiting calmly and carefully. We love Timmy. Ladies and gentlemen, our show is brought to you by the one and only Ice Shaker. Speedy, you love that, right? You've missed that, right, Speedy? You missed it. Go to iceshaker.com and shop all their official license collections from Star Wars to Marvel and so much more. Enjoy free shipping when you spend $50 or more. Go to iceshaker.com and check out all their great products and deals. And ladies and gentlemen, if you go to iceshaker.com right now, you can get your Golden State Warriors. Tim Roy, one and only Ice Shaker. You can get his picture on the back. And the one and only Golden State Steph Curryites on the front. And if you like Steph Curry, well, I guess love him. I don't know. Anyways, you can go and get your Golden State Warriors, OKC Thunder, your Rockets. If you like Kevin Durant, ugly mug on the back of your Ice Shaker, you can get your Ice Shaker by going to iceshaker.com and getting your one and only $50 or more free shipping if you spend enough. Speedy, you know all about that. You bought a couple Ice Shakers. How many did you buy for Christmas?
I bought 8 of them.
8. Could you imagine that? I mean, Chris, where's that? I mean, I don't understand. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, he's been waiting calmly and carefully. We love him. He's been on our show quite a few times. It's the end of the basketball season, and we have him again. We are now talking to Golden State Warriors play-by-play broadcaster, our friend, Tim Roy. Tim, what's up, buddy?
Not much. Just enjoying the off season, and got to watch a great finals. That was really good basketball, high level stuff. And now just getting ready for the draft. The Warriors don't have a first round pick; they have a second round pick, but you never know on draft night. It could be a deal going on during the draft, and so you gotta always be ready for that. But just at this point, now. After the draft, it's summer league and free agency, and then you get some time in August to kind of really rest, and then back at the end of September, you just get going again. It's the NBA has been really good about keeping itself in the news all year long. They really do a good job of that.
It's not the NBA; it's the LJ, LeBron James Association. I'm going to help you out on this all show for everybody out there that doesn't understand. It's the LJA, LeBron James Association. Thank you, Adam Silver. But nevertheless, a lot to get into with the Golden State Warriors. And you're right, it's very Knick-like, as they don't have a first-round draft pick. We all know the Knicks, as Leon Rose hasn't had a first-round draft pick since 1970. I'm just kidding. But the New York Knicks don't really draft in the first round either with Leon Rose. Nevertheless, they've gotten good second-round draft picks over the years. But no, I look at Golden State right now. Jimmy Buckets looked old. You gave him an extension before the season's end. You have Steph Curry coming back. What is he, 36, 37 years old? He's getting up there in air. You have Draymond Green that's been more worried about his podcast than his game of basketball. What is out there? And Steve Kerr, he could be looking, you have 1 foot out right now. He could be looking at a broadcasting job in the very near future. What is there to look forward to Golden State Warriors basketball moving forward? You know more than anybody.
Well, they played really, really well after Jimmy got on board. And at the end, when Steph got hurt, it kind of fell apart. Jimmy got hurt, then Steph got hurt. And so it kind of, evaporated at that point. But before that, in the last, month and a half, 2 months and a half of the season, they were really good. And so I think they're trying to fill in some holes. I think they'd like to get some more shooting, a little more length on the perimeter. They're limited in how they can do it. So they're going to have to be creative. But I think with the Jimmy Butler deal, Mike Dunleavy showed he can be a very creative GM. He did a really nice job before the season started. He acquired all these, contracts, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton, all these guys, and they were all movable pieces. So by moving Melton after he got hurt, then you get Schroeder, you can move Schroeder, and he gotten something else in the Butler trade. So I think they've shown that they can be very creative. They have some holes to fill. And they have some young players that have to take a step forward next year.
So Steph Curry, obviously, like Errol was talking about, kind of the longevity aspect of it. He's mostly had minor injuries in his career, not as much as like the big ones, like we're seeing all these Achilles injuries now. But like going forward with him, especially being the focal point of this offense, like how do you think the Warriors have to manage it, and how do you think he has to fit with these younger players?
Yeah, I think Steph, despite his age, still has what we call gravity. When he cuts to the other side. About 2 bodies go with him. Okay. What they need is to find guys on the other side of the floor who can consistently knock down some shots. And then that's how you use his gravity against the other team. And I think Steph is one of these guys that once he found out that if he got his body right, the ankle injuries would go away and all the, the problems that he had right at the start of his career went away. He has been dedicated to keeping himself in great shape. And all the players, I think most of them around the league are doing that. And that's why we're seeing guys play into the late 30s. When I was a kid, if you were 37 in the NBA, you had better been 7 feet tall, because if you weren't, you were not playing at that point. But now the conditioning, the nutrition, everything is so much better that these guys are playing longer and longer. So yes, the Warriors' big three, they're old. They're not young players anymore. But there still can be effective players if you can keep their minutes down. And so I think that's the kind of mix they're going to look at. Brandon Podziemski has to take a step forward next year for the Warriors. Moses Moody has to be a little bit better. They're in a situation now with Jonathan Kuminga, whether or not he's going to stay, and what kind of offer he gets as a restricted free agent. And so I think there's a lot of pieces they have. They just got to find a couple more to make it all work.
Yeah, what that was my question too. Nice segue. Make me look good. You see it every day, and you're around them and cover it. Like, what do you think those couple pieces are, and how do you think the best way to go about getting them?
I think a 3-and-D wing would be good. You know, a guy that can defend a little bit and knock down a three. You know, there's a lot of guys that say they're 3-and-D wings, but I think if they can find a guy like that, they need to get a little bit bigger on the wing side, and probably, you know, find a center who can stretch the floor a little bit. They have this rookie a kid out of BC from Holland, Quinton Post, who showed some pretty good stuff during the regular season. I don't know if he's ready to be a full-time starter just yet. Probably has to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, learn how to use his leverage better. But those are the kind of needs I see. A 3-and-D wing, a big that can stretch the floor a little bit like Miles Turner does for Indiana, what Chet does for Oklahoma City. A guy that can knock down one of those shots, that can bring a big away from the basket so that the other guys can then get to the basket without worrying about having their shot smack back in their face or having to shoot it quicker than they want to because the big guy is there.
We are talking to Golden State Warriors play-by-play broadcaster Tim Roy. Tim, this Achilles injury has been really effective over the last, I would say, 10 years. Actually, 15 years. If you go back of the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson, he tore his Achilles. He wasn't the same player. We go back to Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, he wasn't the same player. Now you're looking throughout the NBA Finals this year, you got two superstar players, two great players. And Jason Tatum, he went down, tore his Achilles. He might not be the same player. And then Tyrese Haliburton, he's young, but he might not be the same player. What do you think the LJA needs to do to help or secure these players so they don't have these bad injuries?
Well, first of all, basketball is a sport that's, you know, the human body's not designed to have that much stress on your ankles, your knees, and to take the pounding that they do. I'm not sure. I'm not really a doctor kind of guy, but so I don't know if there's a link between them all. But I'll give you an example. Kevin Durant, Elton Brand, both guys tore their Achilles. What they do? They changed their game a little bit. You know, Elton Brand hung out the free throw line. He played for over 10 years in the league, making foul line jumpers. Kevin Durant's a mid-range guy. I think that's what maybe a guy like Tatum will have to look at. Maybe Haliburton doesn't go to the basket as much as he did before. You know, and you know, the medical side is so much better than it used to be. I think these guys can come back and be effective players. But again, you may have to look at your game and kind of adjust it a little bit to get the kind of longevity that you want and to be an effective player. But I think with Brand and with KD, I think they both showed that you can make that adjustment and still be a pretty good player in the league.
So obviously the debate has been for years with load management, and now we've seen a lot because of these major injuries. I think we were saying like the Achilles injuries doubled, I think, from last year for how many there were total. And there was also this argument after OKC won the championship that should they shorten the NBA season to prevent these injuries? What are your thoughts to that?
Well, I think here's I think in theory it's a really good idea. In reality, it's never going to happen because the owners need those dates, you know, to make money, and the players, if you have less games, they're going to get paid less. So I don't think anybody's going to kick back any money on either side. So I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think there's a way to make the schedule a little bit easier, and I think they've tried to do that. We see these things now where teams will go to a city, and instead of in your own conference, instead of playing one game and moving on to the next city, they stay over and play two games. Guys get better rest that way. It's kind of like a baseball series. You go in, you can actually unpack. You know, in the NBA, you don't unpack. You just lay your bag down. It's just like, okay. But you know, you can unpack if you're going to be there like in a playoff series or whatever. And so I think guys aren't under the stress and the, you know, lack of sleep that they get in the regular season. I think maybe adding a week to the duration of the season might help, just to spread the games out a little bit more. And I think there are ways to do it, but I really don't think in reality you'll ever see a shortened season.
Yeah, it's interesting because, as you mentioned, they don't want to lose that TV money, and that's how they're able to pay these guys. In theory, I'm surprised the NFL has done it to the extra game, and you've seen kind of what this series did and it was the most watched Game 7 or last game of the series in 6 years. Do you see it trending up? Because as we've seen the numbers, we've seen the viewability become more so than it has been. And do you think that's due to because these younger athletes and the younger guys and the style of what they do brings a cool factor to the younger generation that wants to play this game instead of, the roughnecks and dudes getting clotheslined like by Lambeer and it's just a different game? Do you think that's helped viewership? Because I know sports are trying to get younger to get that younger crowd. You're always going to have those older guys, but do you see that from your guys' viewership in more ways than one?
Yeah, and I think also too, the NBA has been really good at identifying trends in the culture. So every NBA team now has a group of 5 or 6 young people that do nothing but social media. They go to a game, every guy that gets off that bus, that picture's going up somewhere, TikTok, Instagram. So now the players are making it so they're fashion statements coming off the bus. I mean, and so
Tim, you call some of those fashion statements?
Well, I'm saying, I'm not saying sure what kind of statement it is, but it is a statement. It's like if that's the look they were going for, they nailed it. But but they kind of identify where the trends are and to appeal to younger people. So I think they do a good job of that. And in turn, they create these persona around these players that's attractive to young people. Basketball has the advantage too, where it's about a 2-hour game. And I think for a lot of the younger kids, that's a big deal. And I think that's why baseball put in the clocks, because they want to speed the game up and they want to get kids to talk a little bit about baseball again. When my son was a teenager, none of his friends would come over and talk about the Giants or the A's or what was going on in baseball. And I found that really weird because when I was a kid, that's what we talked about in the summertime. We looked for the averages and the ERAs. And I asked Zach about that, and he says, Dad, kids aren't watching because it's too long. And that was back when, if you were watching a Red Sox Yankee game, it's a 4-hour affair, and and there's 25 pitching changes and meetings, and so I think baseball has done a good job of that, and the NBA has that built in. So they identify trends, they got a built-in thing, they identify with young players, and I think you're right. And the other part about this, we're on this show right now, it's streaming, and I think the ability for kids to watch games on their phones or on their tablets, I think that's huge, because a lot of kids, especially teenagers, they may not want to go and sit down next to dad and watch the game. They want to be out with their friends, but they can catch up with the game on their phone. And I think that's why I think you're seeing a lot of the listenership coming up, because there's more options for young people to watch, where they don't have to sit down in their home and watch it that way.
Tim, you've been watching the game a long, long time. You've been a part of the LJA for a long, long time. You look at where the LJA has gone over the years, from the 80s to the Celtics and the Magic Lakers, to the 90s, where the tail end of the Pistons dynasty went from obviously Olajuwon to Michael Jordan's dominance. And then you look at the Lakers and the back end of it. Yeah. And then you look at Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and a lot of young people, the dominance of the Golden State Warriors over the years and the championships, and Steph's won 4. If he wins 5, you can compare him to the Jordans and all the greats. A lot of people put Steph Curry, out there as a top 10 player. I do not look at him as a top 10 player. There's a lot of reasons why. Not because he's not a great shooter. I think he's the greatest shooter to ever play in the NBA. He's brought a different value to the NBA and the youngsters that believe, hey, I could be 6'3" and chuck up threes and be like Steph Curry. Right. You look at the league right now. You look at, you're a Samaritan. You understand the way the NBA has gone over the years. Do you put Steph Curry in the top 10? Because I don't. I put him in the top 25.
Are you talking now, or are you talking all time?
All time. All time.
All time?
All time. Do you put Steph Curry in the top 10?
Yeah, I think he's in the discussion. I'll tell you why. Very few players come in and change the way the game is played. Okay. Will Chamberlain changed the way the game was played around the basket. Bill Russell was part of that as well. And Bill Russell's probably the best winner we've ever seen in American sport. He just won everything. And Magic and Bird changed the NBA. Steph Curry changed the way the NBA looked at the three-point shot, and in turn changed the way the game is played. Now you have everybody spread out. Then there's a lot more attention to not just the shooting part of it, but the ball handling part of it as well. Steph generates a lot of offense via his ball handling, whether it be for himself or for somebody else. And so when you take that into effect, I think you have to look at him as a top 10 player because he basically put his stamp on the NBA, and it makes that. Now, he's not the most physically imposing player, and I get that argument a lot from people, but I think here's the other part about Steph. And you mentioned about how, he's only 6'3", and kids look at him and say, well, I could maybe be like that. And like Joba pointed out, he's changed it from not the wrestling matches, Anthony Mason and whoever on the block trying to kill each other in the 90s.
Now you're going to attack New York Knicks players. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, here's
going to be happy about
a quick aside. Yes. Anthony Mason did it. We used to get if you lost, and back when I was starting with the Warriors, the first decade and a half, we weren't winning very much. We would get a player from the other team as our post-game guest. Anthony Mason came by one night and was my post-game guest and never looked at me. Sat down in the chair, had turned the chair so he's looking out onto the court. I'm like 2 feet away from him, and he never turned and looked at me. He did the interview, but we never made eye contact. But anyway, so I think with Steph is that, when I go to a game on the road, the older brother, older sister, mom and dad, they've got all the home team garb on, right? But when their kids or their younger siblings walk in, they got a Curry jersey on because he has inspired a lot of kids to pick up the game and learn how to play the game. And I'm going to be interested to see in the next generation, just how many kids come in with his kind of skill set because of the fact that he has put his imprint on the game the way he has.
So we were talking about, at the beginning of the interview about the Warriors players being very outspoken. You also played against one that's been very outspoken throughout the playoffs. That's Anthony Edwards, throwing his teammates under the bus for only taking 13 shots, that he's comparing himself to Paul Pierce and all these other guys as the truth during the Olympics. What are your thoughts to kind of maybe this newer generation?
Hold on. He didn't compare himself. He just said he was the truth. And that all started with Obama there and Joel Embiid. First of all, if I was Obama, I'm not asking Joel Embiid what he thinks about Anthony Edwards because Joel Embiid needs to shut his mouth and keep his 2 cents to himself because this is the same guy that went, I should be an MVP. And then the next year gets the MVP because the league just felt desperately sorry for the idiot.
So where I was getting at, because I've always made it was like the LeBron generation that was the ones that are usually having these outspoken statements, but we're not seeing as much with the younger superstars, except probably besides Anthony Edwards. So what are your thoughts to his comments?
I think Anthony Edwards is kind of growing into his NBA skin. I don't think he's a bad guy at all. I think he's a really, really good guy, and I think he plays the game really, really hard. And he is a star on the rise, but I think he's kind of maturing into the player he's going to be for the balance of his career. And so I don't have a problem with his comments. And I think every now and then, maybe a wake up call to your teammates isn't such a bad idea. I mean, sometimes you have to, point out to the team that, hey, when we need a bucket, we need to get the ball to this guy. And so I think he's going to be a future, maybe an MVP type guy. And I think if I'm in Minnesota, I'm thrilled because he's going to keep them in contention for years to come.
So, yeah, talking about this younger generation, and you covered this game for so long, and you've seen a few guys that have been pretty good. I would like to get people's opinion that have been around it, have covered it. Aside from your team, who is your favorite person you have ever covered?
Wow. Aside from my team.
Yeah, because that's kind of cheating.
Yeah, it is kind of cheating. It's still for Steph and Steve Kerr are by far they're the leaders in the clubhouse. They make my job so much easier. But I would say, let me think. I would say, looking around, Steve Nash was a really cool dude. He was really a really nice guy. He was one. Going back years ago, Kevin Johnson, who played for the Phoenix Suns, really good guy. He's not just a good guy, for his basketball image. He was a good guy off the floor. He ended up being mayor of Sacramento. He started a school there for kids that needed help. So those are two guys I would think of right off the top. there have been so many people I've run into who have just been aces. It's been really a cool journey, to be honest with you.
We are talking to Golden State Warriors play-by-play broadcaster Tim Roy. You know, it's funny. You mentioned Steve Kerr. Just so you know, when he was coaching Team USA basketball, it was my take that made the Olympic Committee close down my Instagram. I had to renew and create a new Instagram. But guess what, Instagram? I have more followers now than I ever did, so eat it. But I said something about Steve Kerr and his coaching, and they shut me down on Instagram. And then you mentioned Steve Nash, and I think he's a nice dude too. But what is he thinking? Joining a podcast with LeBron friggin' James.
The leader of the association.
The LJA is leading again, bringing a nice guy to the dark side. So I'm just speaking the truth here. These are the facts. I just speak the truth on this show. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but you can eat it and dish it and sit on it if you don't like it. The fact here is, and I want to get back to what I think the Golden State Warriors should be doing. And there is a guy right now that's playing for the New York Knicks. There are stories coming out. I've seen posts that they're looking for a wing guy that can shoot and defend and do all those things. There is a guy on the New York Knicks that the Knicks traded for 5 first-round draft picks that it would be a perfect fit for the Warriors, and that's Mikal Bridges. I think that is the guy that if they get Mikal Bridges, they win another championship. That's how good Mikal Bridges would fit with the Warriors, Jimmy Buckets, and then Steph Curry. 2 guys that can defend the perimeter and shoot the ball. Mikal Bridges is a good three-point shooter. He's not he's a good three-point shooter, and he can defend multiple positions. If you were a GM, I should be a GM for the Golden State Warriors because I could be another Myers. If you were a GM right now, would you try or think to make a move for a guy like Mikal Bridges?
Okay, so a little background here. The Warriors have a number of guys who have contracts that are expiring here at the end of the month. And
yes.
The NBA contract cycle goes July through June. So in order to make that deal work, and if, unless you want to trade, Draymond, Steph, or Jimmy Butler, you're going to have multiple bodies on that deal. Now, the problem with that is once you sign a guy in the offseason, you can sign and trade him. But for the Warriors, they're so close to the cap, they could only get half the money back, I believe, if I'm getting this right on the cap. But the other date to remember is December 15th. That's the day when you sign a guy in the offseason. That's the first day you can trade him. And why is that there? It's there because they put that in so that teams don't, we're going to sign this guy and just move him so we can get that guy. They want teams to be a little bit more transparent in their dealings. And so it keeps signing a guy that maybe doesn't want to play anymore to get, so they can balance out a trade. No, the guy has to be on your roster and play till December 15th. So it's a protection in there, for a lot of teams. And so if that was a player that they were interested in, I don't know if they would be, but he certainly has the talent and skill set that certainly would fit just about anywhere. That would be the way they would have to do a deal like that, would be to sign guys and then maybe make a deal in December.
So I have to go in and say something about the Knicks because I kind of trended that way. When you look at the organization as a whole, and I know Tom Thibodeau led them to the Eastern Conference Finals and a lot of attacks by the Knicks. Within 48 hours, they fired Tom Thibodeau. And then everybody says, well, they fired him because they had an idea of who they brought in. They wanted to reach out to Jason Kidd. The Mavericks had no interest in letting him let the Knicks speaking to him. The Udoka thing, the Houston Rockets had no interest in letting the Knicks speak to him. Now the Knicks are a stupid organization. I trust in Leon Rose. I think Leon Rose has done a phenomenal job ever since he's taken over for all the people that have taken shots at him because he was an agent and all this other crap that we've heard. What were your thoughts when the Knicks decided to part ways with Tom Thibodeau, who's never taken a team to a finals as a coach? And do you think that the Knicks already had an idea on who they were going to bring in, and the only reason why they have not announced who they were bringing in because they wanted to make sure that the playoffs were over, and so they weren't taking or hovering over the finals and who was going to win or who was going to be the champion of the NBA Finals? Do you think that was why Leon Rose decided to hold back on that?
Yeah, I think he, who knows? He might be interviewing people that went deep into the playoffs, maybe an assistant coach somewhere that he likes or something like that. That it was a little odd to see that firing because of the fact that the Knicks had done so well and they hadn't been very good for a long time. So it was a little weird. It kind of reminded me when the Warriors fired Mark Jackson. It was kind of an eye roll there and raised eyebrows. Well, it just wasn't a good fit. He did some great things. He got the Warriors to play defense, and they hadn't played defense in like 15 years. So, and he convinced Steph Curry and Klay Thompson that maybe they were better than what they were at that time. But he saw that they're going to be great players and, kept calling the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. And that gave them a lot of confidence. And so he started it, but the fit wasn't good, with upper management and everything else. So to make that trip go farther, that's why they brought in Steve Kerr. And maybe that's why I have no inside knowledge on any of this, but maybe that's what part of it was, that maybe they felt it just wasn't the right fit, that he's done a lot of great things, but we got looking for some other style to make that next move. And, when I was a kid, I grew up in Connecticut, and, the Knicks were the bomb when I was a kid. That, everybody wanted to be Walt Frazier and Dave DeBusschere. I wanted to be Earl Monroe because I couldn't jump, so I could do all that stuff.
I love it. By the way, I wasn't alive for the 70s Knicks, but I could only remember that Phil Jackson was like the sixth man off the bench or the seventh man. And everybody says, well, Phil won two rings as a player. I said, he was a decent player. He wasn't a great player. Phil's known for his voice of reason and the Zen master he was as a head coach. Nobody gave a crap that he played for the Knicks, the two won a championship. So,
the Knicks of the 70s reminded me a lot of the Warriors in 14, 15, and 15, 16, because they shared the ball and everybody got a touch. They did have their stars and guys could really score like Steph, but they were a real team. And and that's one of the reasons I really love the finals. I thought Indiana and Oklahoma City, for the most part, played really strong team basketball. Everybody had the roles, but it wasn't, just watching a guy go ISO the whole game and back somebody down to try to get a 20-footer over the top of them. I really enjoyed it.
Tim, before we let go quickly, do you think the NBA had it right? The LJA had it right that Shea Alexander was the MVP over Jokic after what Jokic did this year? Everybody we've seen, this is a big man that had a triple-double. I mean, Russell Westbrook was the far and along the best player when he had a triple-double. James Harden too. Do you think the NBA or the LJA had it wrong picking Shea Alexander over Jokic?
Well, he was a great player on the best team in the league, so you got that. But I also think, because we're human beings and human beings vote for this, that there is a thing, MVP fatigue, where if a guy's won it a couple times or won it before, or they look around and find somebody else. You could have given the MVP to Michael Jordan, each of his last, 6 years with the Bulls. But, he went to a couple of other guys because I think people got tired of voting for Michael. They wanted to see somebody else win the award. And so I think there's a little bit of that. It's a human element, but to me, either one of those guys was fine, because I think they're both great players. And again, it's amazing to me. The amazing thing about watching pro sports and the NBA, for me, the NBA in particular, because I cover it, is that every 6 years or so, there's a whole new influx of young talent. You see that in baseball now, a whole bunch of great young players coming into MLB, and the NFL is the same way. And it's amazing how, you get used to the crop of guys that are at the top of the league, and then all of a sudden in 3 or 4 years, you got to revise it again because all these guys are coming in and just taking over.
So the real answer to that is the LJA got it wrong.
Don't give the LJA too much back.
Well,
LJA really had its way.
Next time, just email me the answers you want, okay? And I'll just go down.
You gave it to me.
I mean, think of it this way, though. If the LJA really got what it wants, the top 3 MVP would be LeBron, Bronny, and then his son that hasn't even been drafted yet.
I knew it.
Unbelievable.
By the way, Cooper Flagg is a sensational player. He's the next face of United States basketball. So Mr. Colostomy Bag, who came out on the Bill Simmons show saying that he's no good, or he says that he's, what did he compare it to? Detlef Shrimp. What an idiot. I mean, what a ridiculous take. Bill Simmons, P.U., okay? What a disgusting disgrace of a man that has to come out and says something stupid like that. But nevertheless, Tim, I don't want to get you in trouble. The LJA might be lurking, okay? So we love you. Keep up the good work. Before I let you go, we had Brian Snowman on our show. He called up. He's on our network. He does the morning show on our and he met you a couple of years ago.
He said he met you in Chicago. He
would love to get you on the show. If we give you his information, would you be interested in going on the show?
Sure, I'll do it. It's fine.
All right. Thank you so much, Timmy. Timmy, we love you. You're the best in the business. We do.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Take care now.
Tim Roy, the one and only. The one and only. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. Timmy loves the show. He does. And I want to say something. Tim knows for the facts of the way the LJA works that the LJA was absolutely a junk organization that knows that the Jokic trend should have been the one and only MVP of the league. I'm just speaking the truth here. The LJA got it wrong, as he was trying to be very nice about it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we call this segment Sound It Out.
Big roll here. Jay Quellen. Where's Jay Quellen at? No Jay Quellen here?
Do you mean Jacqueline?
Let's sound it out.
What you call me?
Sound it out.
Here we go.
Oh, Errol, it's back. You've come back. We're back with another episode of Sound It Out. Phonics Schmonics. Errol's got it. Are you ready? Because we're going to go into, after this segment, a preview of the NBA draft, which is on Wednesday and Thursday. We will go over first round of the draft on our Thursday show while the second round is going on. Maybe we'll talk about some sleepers at the top half of the second round. I'm sure nobody's really going to talk about the third string Polish center that gets drafted at number 60. But we'll see what happens. Because, Errol, I've got 3 names from the NBA draft in the past 10 years that you're going to have to sound out on tonight's episode of Sound It Out. Are you ready to play?
I guess you can throw a couple curves, and if I can catch it, I'm in good shape.
Oh, here's the first one. I think he was the last pick of the draft a couple of years ago. Errol, sound it out!
Georgios, hold on, Kalaitzakis.
Speedy?
It is Giorgos Kalaitzakis.
Wow.
That does not sound the same. 0 for 1.
He was actually you're right. He was the last pick of the draft, actually, by the Thunder.
By the championship winning Thunder.
Thank you. I thought I was pretty good. I think I sounded
Tommy, restart the music. Let's see if he can't keep his mojo going for the next one. On tonight's Sound It Out, Errol, moving on it down the draft line. Here it is.
Oh my God.
Sound it out.
Fiondu. Hold on. Benjela.
Speedy.
The first name was actually pretty good. It's Fiondu, and but the last name is Kevin Galley. It was the late round draft pick of the Brooklyn Nets from Florida State.
How wonderful.
So,
Florida, I think you said was going to go to the Final Four that year.
Yes, I did. Nature.
Choked on that one. 0-2. But again, all it takes is one to go 1 for 3, 333 batting average. He's an all-star in any league. Can we do it tonight? Here it is.
He was on fire.
Errol. Sound it out.
God, are you serious? Timothy Luawua Cabrato.
You got Luawu right.
Timothy.
It's Timotej.
Timothée.
French. Luau you got right, and then Cabarro.
What a ridiculous segment, ladies and gentlemen. Because I will say this for all you people out there that were trying or even try to count these names out, good friggin' luck. Okay? It's not easy. Yes,
No.
I'm very bad when it comes to certain names. That name is like a mouthful. I mean, you can spit, you can jerk, and you still probably wouldn't get it right. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Speedy, listen, have you spit on anything over the last couple of days?
On anything specifically, not offhand that I could think of. No.
Not offhand. Did you guys get that one? Not offhand. I'm sorry. I just had to do that. Anyways, with the NBA draft 2 days away, there have been many draft rumors around several projected top 5 picks, including Rutgers forward Ace Bailey. ESPN's Jonathan Gavani reported that Bailey has not had any workouts with teams and canceled a meeting scheduled to 76ers. One Western Conference NBA executive said that Bailey could be out of the league in 5 years if he ends up in the wrong situation. Many NBA executives believe another top 5 projected pick, Baylor guard VJ Edgecombe, right? Am I right, Speedy?
Yes.
Won't average 12 points per game in the NBA. ESPN reports that the 76ers very high in Edgecombe, but are still trying to trade up with the Spurs at number 2 to draft guard Dylan Harper, even though the Spurs are unlikely to trade out of the pick. The Athletic David Aldridge reports that the Eastern Conference scouts don't see Duke guard Knuble as a difference maker in the NBA. Aldridge added that multiple ACC coaches who have had or played against Cooper Flagg think he will be a generational talent in the NBA and thinks that he plays the right way without the big ego that has hurt top NBA prospects. I have said this for the last 8 years. Ladies and gentlemen, you can sell it, you can dish it when it comes to the LJA. You can sell me and throw me to the wolves if I'm wrong about this. Cooper Flagg is going to be one of the top 5 players in the NBA in the next 4 years. You've heard it here. There is no argument to that. His ability to do the things that he does well. He's a good rebounder. He's a good shooter. His three-point shot is going to get better. He is the white Kevin Durant. I have said this for a long, long time, and people thought I was nuts. Well, how could you compare that? He's not a great shooter. Let's go through Kevin Durant's background, where he came from Texas and the Longhorns. Kevin Durant was a great offensive player. He was the number 2 pick in the draft. He was drafted right behind a guy who was an absolute bombshell who didn't even play really a full season with the Portland Trailblazers, and then was out of the NBA in 4 years, really. I understand why people don't like Cooper Flagg. He's not a athletically gifted talent in their eyes. He doesn't show you why he would be a Kyrie Irving coming from Duke, or a Grant Hill, or even a Bobby Hurley we've seen over the years come from the Duke Blue Devils, even a Jason Williams. Here's why this guy is a generational talent. This guy doesn't talk about anybody. He doesn't throw anybody under the bus. He goes out there, plays his heart out. He blocks. He is an ultimate team player. The Mavericks got a gem. He is going to be a better player than Luka Doncic. And this draft, who everybody thought was going to be an all-time great draft, I just don't see it. There's a lot of questions in this coming draft. The Bailey thing, I don't know what Ace Bailey is going to be. I think he's a top 5 draft pick. I don't understand why people don't like him. I like that he has gone out and said what he has said after the fact. This guy is an ultimate talented player. And if he falls, and he falls out of the first round, and he falls to the New York Knicks, a slam dunk. We have seen this before. As a matter of fact, we saw that this year in the NFL. And I'll say this again, as we have seen from the Sanders boy, Shedeur Sanders, opening his mouth and twiddling around with his nice fancy cars and his NIL deals. Ace Bailey is not as bad as Shedeur Sanders. Is he a good person? I don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know his family. I don't know where he comes from. What I do know is Rutgers basketball was a pretty good basketball program, and this guy was looked at as a top 10 prospect for how many years? This guy, before the season, last year, they said Ace Bailey was going to be a top 5, top 6 pick in next year's draft class. So why any GM or executive thinks that this guy's going to be a bomb shows you how stupid the LJA and these organizations are. Now, the Spurs are an organization that's going to be looking for a point guard. De'Aaron Fox is not a good fit over there with the Spurs. I never thought it was a good fit. I could see them drafting at number 2, the point guard. I think Dylan Harper, which he's the guard, who everybody thinks is the second best player in this class. I think he goes there. I think De'Aaron Fox will be traded in the offseason, maybe at the draft, to get a tremendous amount of players for De'Aaron Fox. The Spurs are maybe, if they get, and this kid, Dylan Harper, becomes the player that I think he's going to become, you're a player away from being a contender in the NBA in the Western Conference.
He almost has a 7-foot wingspan.
Yeah, he's special, man. He's a great ball handler. He can shoot. He could do all these things, and he could defend multiple positions. I've seen him defend threes at some points this year for Rutgers, and he comes from a program that plays defense.
Really good defense.
Yes. Yeah. He's played 4s, and he's a guard. He's a 1. So, I mean, he's special. And everybody keeps talking about Tyrese Haliburton. He is the identical match of a Tyrese Haliburton, maybe even better athletically. So, and Tyrese Haliburton can't defend like this kid. So, I mean, this kid is going to be, he's not Cooper Flagg good, but he's right under his talents. So, I don't get it why everybody, and by the way, Knuppel is a great offensive talent. I have no idea what any of these NBA executives are thinking. This guy was the second best player on the Duke Blue Devils this year. Offensively, even in going to the Final Four, this guy was as good as Cooper Flagg.
I was going to say, like, later in the tournament, he was probably the best player.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get what they're saying. But again, the NBA has always gotten it wrong. Did anybody think that certain players were going to – how about the Greek Freak? Why did he fall all the way to, 15, 16, the way he did to Milwaukee? Where are the NBA executives on that one? Idiots. How about Jokic falling to the second round? Where were the NBA executives on that one? I could go on and on and on. The NBA executives are as good as the LGA has been when LeBron James or the LeBron James Association was built when he was drafted in 2000. What was it? 4 or 2006?
3.
Oh, 3. Whatever. I mean, it was born and built through that draft class because we all know what came out of that draft class. Carmelo Anthony and the one and only Dwayne Wade. So I just think that this is an absolute mockery. I don't know how. First of all, the NBA is a wishy-wash. You don't know how these players are going to be. Do I think this class is going to be great? I don't know. But I can tell you there's at least 4 really good players in this class. And the 3 guys that we have mentioned, Bailey, Harper, and the one and only Flagg, those are 3. All 3 of them are going to be good players in the NBA. Shame on the colostomy bag or anybody that comes out and says the stupidity or remarks the stupid shit that we've heard over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
excuse my language again.
Edgecombe's a talented player too. Again, undersized. Maybe that's why a lot of these executives are more concerned about him. But we've seen a lot of these quicker point guards still be good in today's game. Now, again, it's not as much of a point guard driven league as we saw even like last decade. We were talking about with Tim Roy, with Steph Curry, and a lot of these other dynamic backcourts that we've seen over the years. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you can't have one focal point with somebody like Edgecombe, who's still 6'4", could bulk into his body a lot more too. So anything thinking he's going to fall out of the top 10, like a lot of these rumors are saying.
And a lot of these foreign players come out of nowhere too. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 or 3 of these foreign players become stars in the league because the NBA has become an international game. Right. As we all know, the 3 best players in the league this year were what? Foreign players.
Right.
There's 2 French guys that could go top 10, right,
I was
Speedy?
just going to mention that, yep. Asengwe is the one that's projected.
I don't
a little
believe
higher.
in these French guys, honestly. I really, I've
But
not been.
They did play
impressed
well.
with any of them.
They did play well in the Olympics, though, especially Asengwe, playing well just as well as Wemby at certain points during the group stages. And he's, according to this ESPN mock draft, expected to be number 9. And like you were saying, he could even climb into maybe the fringe top 5 if somebody else falls, like Knipple, like Trey Johnson is another one that's projected possibly to fall with similar issues like Bailey's having. It's just a lot of this pre-draft process, but like Errol's saying, like a lot of these kids are young. Like these pre-draft processes aren't like in the NFL where they're like conducting all these interviews and doing all these tests for them.
I'm not hearing that it's because of the young kids, though. I'm hearing it's because of representation. That Bailey's representation has canceled workouts with 3 teams.
Because he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to go there.
And that's the point, right? So they're trying to do a manipulation of the draft, which we really haven't seen agents be as brazen as this trying to do in the NBA. We've seen in the NFL. We know Eli Manning forced his way to New York. Yeah. We know years ago John Elway forced his way to the Broncos. We know this happens every once in a while.
Bo Jackson did too from Tampa.
Bo Jackson famously, right? Sat out the entire year and then was taken, and they didn't even realize he could be drafted, and he got taken at the end of the draft the next year, right?
Now Shamar Stewart could do that this year.
Imagine if that happens. That's a whole other story. I can't wait. If that does happen, we will talk about it in great detail with the Bengals. I mean, there was even like a kid who like was making fun of Joe Burrow for not making the playoffs, and like they got to get defense on his team. Did you see that? Went viral the other day. But guys, the NBA draft for me. I just wanted to cover a couple of guys. You talked about Edgecombe. I really like Edgecombe. I think there's a lot of weird stuff that's going to happen in the top 7. I don't think teams are dumb enough to bite on this agent nonsense of we're not going to see Ace Bailey work out, so he's going to fall below 3. He's going 3. I'm sorry. Everybody knows he is that next guy. He's a prototypical wing. He had like a big wing. He's an offensive player. He projects to be long defensively and get more athletic with that frame. He's probably not done growing. I can't see him going lower than 4 at the latest if a team really likes Edgecombe because of his.
I would say that's a bit trade up possibility too, because I know Utah's very interested.
Could you remember the last time 2 Rutgers players in the NBA draft were drafted in the top 5? Never happened.
I doubt it's ever.
I don't even remember the last Rutger player that was drafted in the top 5.
Because they only just became a power conference like 10,
Stony
15
Brook
years ago.
representation,
right, Steve
baby.
Pikell doing a great job coaching that. And
Stony Brook coach.
Like even that, it took them like 15 years. They've only been a Power 5 team, a Big 10 team for 15 years about it. They've only been a really good basketball team probably the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find a list. Maybe one of our interns can find the highest drafted Rutgers players of all time. But it's for sure these 2 guys are going to do it. And there's a reason why I'm not even going to mention Bailey at 3, above 3, because there's no doubt that Dylan Harper is going too. This guy's unbelievable.
Yeah,
he's great. He is a prize as well. In many other drafts, that didn't have Cooper Flagg in it, he would be number 1 pick.
Number 1, 100%.
He's a fantastic player. I mean, you could just see him dicing everybody up in college. It wasn't.
I like
really
his
fair.
hair. That's my favorite part of his game.
Well, we'll see. If you don't remember, like James Harden didn't do any of the hair stuff until he got out of college. So who knows what these guys on the.
He is a more athletic Tyrese Haliburton who can defend. That's what he is.
He's a better. On paper. Can't talk about the IQ, the stuff, the intangible stuff that Haliburton has shown that he can do now in the clutch playing. We don't know about that, but better athlete. Mm-hmm. He's a better athlete. 6'5" point guard, same thing, right? He's a little bit. It looks like he's a little bit stronger, and I really
Jake got him.
like
James Bailey, 1979, drafted 6 overall.
Yeah,
1979.
So this is obviously going to break it. So it's really impressive. It's really impressive, Rutgers.
I want to go back.
Really cool.
I want to go back to something Errol was mentioning too. Like if they do draft Dylan Harper, they still have Stephon Castle there. There are rumors they are looking to shop the number 14 pick that they also have. Could they include that with Fox in a potential deal? Is something that could be interesting. If they're looking for something bigger.
There are a lot of teams right now. We mentioned the Golden State Warriors, the New York Knicks that don't have a first-round draft pick. Next year, the Knicks have 2, possibly. It all depends on the Wizards. And by the way, the LJA with this crap, with the unprotected, protected picks, that is ridiculous. I don't want to hear this anymore. The NBA has to get this statistic or the way they calculate an unprotected and protected pick.
Yeah, hockey and football do it fine. Why not do conditional picks?
If you trade the pick goes to that team. Stop. Well, if it's a top 11 pick, they keep their pick. That doesn't make any sense. You're giving up a prospect. How many times have we seen the Knicks over the last couple of years give up a top 12 pick and they get the other team's pick the year after or 2 years after, which is if it's a top 11 pick, it's protected and they don't get the pick, and then they got to wait another year. And if it gets there, and then all of a sudden it falls all the way to a second round pick. How is that fair?
The Knicks lost 2 of them in the same draft.
How is that fair? It doesn't make it. Look what they did with Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah,
I mean, they got screwed off that Kristaps Porzingis trade. Yep. What did they get out of that? They got nothing. They lost Chris, and it helped the Boston Celtics because they won an NBA title a couple of years later because he gets traded over there. It doesn't make sense. And the NBA or the LJ needs to fix this. LeBron James needs to sit with Mr. Dumbo himself and have a conversation on how this works because it doesn't make sense. They created the Bird situation because Larry Bird rights. That helped the Celtics and a lot of other teams. How does this help teams like the Knicks or even the Chicago Bulls over the years that they got screwed? Okay? It doesn't make sense. And the NBA or the LJA or the Rudy Gobert NBA garbage, I mean, it doesn't make – I mention Rudy Gobert because nobody even remembers Rudy Gobert. But the fact is –
Draymond Green does.
Yeah, that's about it. He's the only one. The fact is the LJA has to figure out how this makes sense. It's not fair to other organizations that are put in a situation where they have a number 7 pick or 8th pick. They trade it away because a team wants a certain player. But the year after or 2 years later, if it's a protected pick, the other team could lose the option to get that pick because of how bad they are 2 years. If you trade the pick, that pick, no matter how bad they are, goes to that team no matter what. And that has to be cleaned up because in the new CBA and the way the new CBA comes out, when's the next CBA? 3 years from now, 4 years from now? I don't know when it is, but
I think we said 3 last time we looked it up.
It has to be cleaned up. This is the one thing that I think has affected my thoughts or even optional thoughts of trading away picks at any point in the draft.
It's hard to even make sense of it, right? You know, like as a fan that like loves the sport, it's hard to even tell what teams are doing. You know that like a guy like Sam Presti just is going to have picks because he's a magician with it, and that's why they're in the position they're at. But when you have these deals of how the Knicks got screwed out of picks the last couple of years,
2 years in a row,
you know, teams are manipulating it. Once that happens, you got to fix it. I wanted to talk about 2 guys before we finish this subject that I want to put up a highlight of. The first guy is from Duke, the Duke center, Malak. Now, Heyman Malak,
great player.
So here's the thing. I don't know if he's a great player. He's got great size, but when you watch him play, he only does a couple of things, right? He doesn't have a diverse offensive game, to put it mildly. He's a rim runner. Now, that's great, and he has size on defense, but you're just projecting right now. Right, you're just projecting. But Mitchell Robinson was projected in the same way as a second-round pick. So I think they're talking about him a little high.
He was 18.
He had trouble.
I didn't play overseas, remember? Or the G League. What did he do? He went overseas. He decided. I'll say this right now. Mitchell Robinson would have been a top 5, top 7 pick if that stuff didn't happen. And he decided he was supposed to go to SMU. Remember that? I think it was SMU, Larry Brown. Don't quote me on it, but I think that was the team. And he decided not to play. And that hurt him.
Not playing for Larry Brown at the end of Larry Brown's career.
I'm just saying that hurt him. And he was projected to be a top 5, top 7 pick in the draft. And he fell all the way to the second round. And by the way, the Knicks got lucky. He fell to the Knicks. That was one pick that the Knicks really got lucky on. And by the way, if you look at Mitch Robinson, when healthy, is one of the best centers in the NBA. So if Malik is anywhere close to that kind of player, you got to jab. That's what you want. And centers do not grow on trees. Guys that can defend, block, and do the things. When he was in the game, especially all the way to the Final Four, he played a big factor in every part of those games on why the Duke Blue Devils moved on. So I disagree with you. I think he's a good player, and he can absolutely build a shot. We've seen big men build shots, as we see one right now with the Boston Celtics that's won a title just recently. He's now an old-timer, but he wasn't a great shooter when he went to the NBA. So
I don't disagree. I just feel like it would break like a pattern these days where those types of guys are generally not taken as high because the skill set, you have to be super athletic. You can't be slow. You have to be able to rotate to the perimeter like Mitch, right? But if Mitch had the exposure of Duke, maybe he does go in this spot where Malak is being projected to go as like a 7th or 8th pick.
I'm sorry, Durant with the Pistons, I think, is a good analogy where they could go. Like, he went still with having similar size and I think quickness for a big man. I think that Malak does have. I don't know if he has the upside of Durant like overall, but he's still pretty good skill set wise.
That's what I say though. Like him at 8, it feels a little high just from what you've seen recently. That's all. I don't think he's gonna be a bad player. I just think with his skill set, the guy that I'm fascinated by, I'm gonna play his highlight is Mr. Fears from Oklahoma. If you watched any Oklahoma, this guy,
I like him.
Is so much fun to watch play, but he doesn't play a whole lot of defense. He's really exciting offensively.
You know what he reminds me of, right?
Great handle. Could be like, I would say more like a he's the same size as Kyrie. I think he's 6'3", 6'2", 6'3".
He reminds me of a Kyrie
6'3", 180.
Derrick Rose, his game likes to go to the hole. He goes to the hole strong. He's a great ball. He's better ball handler than Derrick Rose, but the guy has a tremendous ability going. And by the way, he can go left and right. So I know who you're talking about. He's a guy that could be a steal in the draft.
He either is going to figure it out competently on defense and be able to play within a system.
He doesn't have to be. The LGA has become a one-dimensional type of game.
But again, it's also with a size thing. Like, I think it wasn't because of lack of effort. They have Oklahoma as a defensive-minded coach over there, Porter Moser,
which is surprising because their football team for over the years was more offensive.
Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, and even Bob Stoops when he was coaching there before that. They never had great defensive teams either. But they get Porter Moser, who was Loyola Chicago's coach, who was one of the best defenses in the country. And then he goes over there to Oklahoma. We talked about all year how historically good SEC basketball was this year, and that could have been a lot of the stats that were rigged against him. But it's also the size. He's 6'3", 180. It's just not as big for the NBA game. But I think that's something that can be developed with good coaching.
I don't understand either. I don't care how tall you are. Muggsy Bogues was in the league. He was like 5'4". Okay, I understand the league and the game is different, and Steph Curry has really brought that out. When Steph Curry came into the league, he was thin, he was scrawny, and I think he grew 2 inches when he came out from Davidson. He was like 6'1" when he came out of the NBA draft. He grew 2 inches when he was in the NBA. He was small, skinny, scrawny, and nobody thought he was going to last in the NBA or the LGA. And look what he's turned out to be. He's become one of the best players in the NBA over the last 12, 13 years. I don't want to hear it anymore about size. Size doesn't matter unless you're in the bed. If you're in the sack, Speedy, size matters. Besides
Nithin cares about that more.
Size matters. And speaking of Nithin, we've missed Nithin, and we have breaking news, ladies.
Breaking news. I farted.
That's the truth. I farted too, by the way, and it smells.
Now you just hear the fart noise.
It's just salt, and my farts don't smell. I still have those salty feelings over here in my pants, and it definitely smell. I'll be honest. You can ask Brittany. Brittany, where are you?
I heard her moan in the other room about that.
Brittany, are you here? Come over here. I want her.
Hold on. Can we cut salty farts in my pants?
I definitely want her to say, she smelt the salty fart. Speedy, get her on for a second.
Brittany.
Just for a second. Come on, speak into the mic. It was horrible. It was horrible. You think? It was definitely something that you don't want to imagine, but I definitely probably scared a bunch of giraffes out of the bedroom. So it was an interesting smell, but definitely something. Oh, what am I in a jail cell right there? Oh, there I am. Yes, that's probably true. And there's the sharks waiting for me when I go in the water. By the way, I didn't realize that Bermuda is around coral reefs and sharks don't really hang out around there, but. Then again, Brittany didn't realize that the guy we were driving and he said, well, there were hammerheads seen, somewhere around the waters over the last couple of months. And she's like, if I heard that, I wouldn't have went on a jet ski. So we were on the jet ski, by the way. Got great video on it. I definitely got to send you the video so you guys can see. You hear her screaming. She had fun. I just piss it. I like pissing her off. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we call this segment tic tac, no.
Marsh, right in the butt.
What?
We get the prizes cheap because they're stolen.
No, no, no.
No. Look at Speedy dancing over there.
You haven't seen the new Tic Tac No board.
Oh, that's pretty funny, actually. One of the craziest times ever. Looks like he's about to suck something there.
Yeah, Fish had Fish had way too much analysis of the background people last week.
Oh yeah, you got to check out this cougar behind him, checking him out, clapping him on the whole time.
She's like, oh, give it to me, Speedy. Give it to me.
All about it.
Tell that man.
Speedy's mom.
All the multitude of amazing Nithin drops.
A lot
That
of
was
hot
the one
ladies.
that was needed right there.
I'm putting you on a leash now.
Did Nithin leave again?
I think he might have.
I'm waiting for the blue blazer to make its debut on the new board.
Nithin's like, where's Waldo?
But that's the best feature of the new board. We even have the Nithin blue blazer.
Remember the books, the Where's Waldo, and you have all these crazy things, and you're trying to find Waldo, and it's like it's smacking in like a weirdest area, and you can't find him. That's Nithin. He's like, where's Waldo? Nithin's Waldo.
Yeah.
We got to figure out a name and set it up. We got to set up a board with Where's Waldo with Nithin in it. That would be funny. That's funny. That's a funny game.
With the blue blazer as his
Blue blazer and try to find him in like
the camo pants.
Yes, we got to do that. That's what we got to do. That'll be funny. Anyways, you guys ready?
Just show Fish. Show him the new board again. So you can see the Nithin.
Oh yeah,
blue.
because Nithin and the blue blazer are actually on the board, Errol. If you take a look on the top left, he is an action figure piece for
There he is.
this one.
Do you see his chest stick out when he stands? It's like, that's right, I got boobies too.
He may look. Nithin might just bench all the time. Maybe he puts up 315. We
Cobra.
don't even know.
Oh no!
Cobra.
He tried to challenge. What was it? A push-up competition?
Oh,
he tried
yeah.
to challenge you
Oh,
to,
yeah. I
like
love
in
that one.
2019 or something.
Yeah, he did. That was a joke.
I would love
I
to see
need
a
to blow
push-up
up.
competition between you and Nithin. I
I
know
would-
you would win
I
by
would
a lot.
pay.
But I want to see it.
Hey.
Listen, I could do more one arms than Nithin could do two arms. Okay, there's no chance.
That's
By the way, I
impressive.
did a sexy man contest over there on the first
Yeah,
day.
you did mention that. You've
I
got to
did.
tell us a little bit
So,
about.
so
this.
it's funny. It's funny because I was actually after the sexy man contest, I was on the television. So they did like an intro of the board and everything that's going on the ship. I was like center stage. So it was at the last minute. There were 7 guys and there was these 2 old ladies and it was like a sexy man leg contest. So I don't know why it was legs. So everybody was going out. They were dancing and all this other stuff. People were coming on stage. So Brittany and this Lane was out there, the hairdresser. She was like, go ahead, Errol. Join this. I wasn't thinking about doing it, but I said, you know what? I don't give a crap. I'll go out there. So I go up to the guy that's presenting it and doing it. And I said, okay, I'll do this. He said, you're the last one. I said, all right, I'll do it. What are you going to bring to the table? I said, sexiness. And so I start doing my dance all the way to the lady. This old lady, I put my leg on top of the bout where she was sitting, and I try to I was about to pull her head to my crotch. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get arrested for it. And then I did like these ultimate push-ups, and I was bouncing up and down from these ladies were shocked how many push-ups I was doing. I was bouncing around, and the way I was doing it was absolutely hilarious. The whole time. By the way, I came in second place because this guy had these flappable legs. It was the weirdest and most disgusting shit I've ever seen in my entire life. His legs flapping. Dude, his nutsack was dropping with his legs. It was absolutely disgusting. But he won. I was second place. Throughout the ship, the whole time, these ladies that saw me, all they kept saying is, you are the sexiest. You have the sexiest legs. You could ask Brittany the whole time. What was this? What kind of music is this on?
It's analytics music. Somebody slipped it in.
I don't.
Cut that right there, please, Tommy.
I'm just saying here. These ladies the whole time, Joba, they kept seeing me every single day, and they kept saying, "Sexy legs, you're the sexiest." You're the sexiest. And Brittany kept saying, you can have them. You can have them. And I was like,
how old were these ladies?
how old were they? Brittany, how old were they? In their 50s. In their 50s. Ooh. Yeah. So they were definitely, and throughout the time, everybody kept coming up to me on the first day after that saying, oh, you won. You definitely won. You definitely won. I didn't give a crap. But this guy's legs the whole time. Everywhere we went, this guy was doing it. We went to karaoke night. This guy and his wife, he was flapping these. I'm telling you.
What do you mean flapping his legs?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a visual. Like,
is it like a grandma's arms, like fat?
Yes. Yes, it was like a grandma's legs, arms.
So how did he win though?
I don't know. People thought it was cool.
Novelty,
I thought it was
people
disgusting.
Into weird stuff on boats.
Weird shit, man. I mean, I honestly think, and he was wearing such tight like swim trunks.
Oh, was he like European?
Dude, yeah, I don't know what it was, but dude, his ball, you could see his
makes
balls.
sense.
You could see his balls jiggling when he was
you got a reaction with that comment. You got a reaction
honestly,
from Brittany.
Was his name like Jock or something like that?
I don't remember what his name was, but it was disgusting. And whatever anybody thought of his Jello legs, because that's what it looked like, Jello, moving back and forth. Congratulations on his unbelievable win. It made me sick to my stomach, and it'll always haunt my dreams. So that's all I'm going to say. And it was like a flapping old woman's arm when they flopped. It was disgusting, but that's the truth. Anyways, let's get to the show here. Tic-tac-no. Let's go, Speedy.
The visual.
All right, so interns, you guys can come in as well on camera and answer some questions as well. Jake and Zach did helpful in them trying to get the college one last week. Could not get it, so I ended up winning the first time. All right, we'll start in the We're starting the NHL. So Brad Marchand tied Wayne Gretzky with 7 goals. There's one other player who had 7 career playoff goals in an individual Stanley Cup final series. Who is that?
Mario Lemieux.
Nope. I think I saw that.
Is it Sidney Crosby?
No. I saw that, and I forgot. I saw it the other day. They posted it, and I forgot. Oh, man. I don't know.
Well, Maurice Richard.
Nope.
No.
Did you say
Richard?
Richard.
Richard.
I don't
Maurice
know.
Richard.
Richard.
I'm just trying to help. It's okay. Hey, that's, now you know Scoops is trying to cheat.
Just look at the best goal scores. There we go.
Stammer?
Nope.
I really don't know, but I'll take a guess. Mark Messier.
Nope. Yeah, so it's Zach and Aaron. You're the last hopes for this round.
I have no idea. I know nothing about hockey.
Okay. They both
Name
know.
a hockey
Same
player
here.
you've heard of, both of you.
I saw it, and that's I knew who it was, and I saw it the other day.
You're gonna get annoyed when you hear this.
Yeah, sure.
It is Mike Bossy.
I can't believe it. And it was Mike Bossy.
Islanders.
It was Mike Bossy. Yes, it was. And it was an Island. I can't believe it. I saw it the other day. They were posting it up on, it was a story, and they were saying that Brad Marchand was the second player to do it. So
Brett. Hey, by the way, Brad Marchand enjoyed that party. Woo, boy.
yeah, he's honestly, I didn't like Brad Marchand until I saw him. I was at the Stanley Cup Finals.
Middle Speedy?
At St. Louis, and he was fantastic. He actually climbed up a ladder because a girl lost a balloon. He brought a ladder, a 20-foot ladder, climbed up to grab the balloon and brought the ladder back. Could you imagine? Have you ever seen a hockey player do that? He actually went out there to help a kid get her balloon back. So, true story.
All right, let's go. We'll go to the NBA draft for this one. So the only time the Mavericks ever had the #1 pick before that was in 1981. They drafted a shooting guard / small forward who later won 2 championships with the Bad Boy Pistons. Name this player.
Say that again.
So the Dallas Mavericks, the only time they had the #1 pick before this year was 1981. They drafted a shooting guard small forward who later won 2 championships with the Bad Boy Pistons in the late 80s.
Was he a good player?
He was a decent player. I looked at his numbers. Solid player.
81.
Well, it's not Isaiah Thomas or Joe Dumars if he was a solid player.
No, the ironic thing is This guy also ended up coaching with Isaiah Thomas with the Knicks as assistant coach.
Oh my God.
Speedy, you said the player was he was a number 1 overall pick.
Yep, 1981 number 1 overall pick with the Dallas Mavericks, who won multiple championships in Detroit. He was a career 20 points a game scorer.
So he was more than good.
20 points a game.
3-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star. Yeah, solid player.
20 points a game.
No doubt. And 2 championships?
Yep.
So he was on both of those teams, and that
Yeah.
means he was the third scorer if he was 20 points a game.
Who is that?
Why can't I think of it right now? I'm not gonna look it up.
No, I'm just drawing a blank. Because I actually like those guys.
I don't know.
I mean, I wanted to say someone until you said 20 points a game. That would have been hilarious as a Knicks fan to say, but...
Could you give us a hint?
All right, so he shares a first name with a dominant player of a team that is nearby Detroit, who was a point guard.
What? Near Detroit?
A city near Detroit.
I got like.
He shares a
nothing.
first name. He was a point guard. He was a great point guard. He shares a first name.
Dame?
No. Back then. 80s, 90s era point guard.
That's really hard. That's
yeah, I
not
don't
much
have
of a clue whatsoever.
Near then back then. I wasn't
in terms
born
of
yet.
clues
Yeah,
is like an enigma
We're not
wrapped
going to
in
get
a
it right.
puzzle.
All right.
I give it up.
Who is it?
So Mark Aguirre is the answer to the question.
I wouldn't get that right.
Mark
So-
Aguirre.
Aguirre.
Doe deer?
Aguirre.
Female deer?
Aguirre. This is not a nursery.
I thought it was Aguirre. Mark Aguirre. You're saying Mark Aguirre. Not Aguirre.
All right.
Whatever it is, we didn't get it right.
All right. Whatever. Speedy, you get another one. Speedy's getting revenge because we won, I think. Did we win both of them, Speedy, when you...
No, I won last week. I won last week, and then you guys took me to the brink the week before.
All right,
Where are you going?
Bottom left.
Bottom left, right here. All right.
I
Give us
can't.
one to have a chance.
I can't overlap the blue blazer. All right, so
No.
we'll go to some baseball. So we went for the Rafael Devers Red Sox question last week. This time we'll go to the Giants angle. So besides Barry Bonds, the most home runs in Giants history in the last 40 years was also a third baseman. He had 247 home runs with the team. Name this player.
Oh, poop.
In the last 40 years?
Last 40 years. So he's second after Barry Bonds among San Francisco Giants home runs.
And he didn't spend his whole career there, did
He
he?
was also a third baseman. No, he did not.
And what position he played?
Third base.
And what else did he play? Position. He was just the third baseman?
He was a third baseman.
It's not just Kent, so...
No, he was second base.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was waiting for
And he
that
didn't. And he didn't play his whole career there. Why am I?
Is it Matt Williams?
Yes, it is.
one. All
It
right.
is.
Williams.
There you
Correct.
go.
Bam!
Yeah, because he then he ended up third base coach there.
I thought him immediately, but I wasn't sure myself.
That's why I asked, because I was pretty sure I had two going, and I wasn't 100% sold. And I was like, okay, I know he
He
didn't.
was a good player, too. He
Oh,
was some
yeah.
player.
I mean, Sandoval didn't have enough, and Aubrey Huff didn't have enough, so that was my next.
I knew it wasn't the Panda.
No.
I knew it wasn't.
All right, so we blocked you.
All right, we'll go back to the NHL. This time we'll go to the NHL draft. So the New York Islanders, the last time they had the number one pick, there was also a trade in the middle first round. So including with the Islanders, a player they drafted, and then a player, both defensemen, that became an Islander later. Name the two players.
Say that
You
again.
need to give us a year of this draft. That
No,
is
this
way
was-
too obscure.
2009. This was the John Tavares
Javon
draft.
Tavares,
Yep.
yes.
So one of them was an Islanders draft pick, number 12 overall, The other one was another defenseman that was drafted number 16 overall that later became an Islander.
So I need to know who the 12th and 16th pick were.
Yep.
In the 2009 NHL draft.
You think I'm going to go back and remember what the Islanders drafted?
All right. I'll go with 16. Michael Delzato.
Nope. I will give you a hint, though. One of them did play for the Rangers this year.
God damn.
One of them played for the Rangers this year. Defense.
Yep. Didn't play much, but
I'm not a Ranger fan, so
None of them should have played much. They're going to get rid of all of them. Errol, we'll be talking about it, I think, within 2 weeks.
I've been saying that.
They'll dump them all at Anaheim.
I mean, I don't know. Quenville over there. Can't believe he has a job. I already went. I can't guess again.
Fish, I will give you another hint. Whatever you just said just now is a hint for one of them.
But I already went, Speedy. I can't go again.
Okay, I just mentioned that as a hint.
I know.
Yeah, but there's 2 picks.
Something Fish just said in that last sentence.
I don't remember
one
that
of
draft. Except John Tavares.
I have nothing, by the way.
Hedman.
Is that like a Hamonic
I got
draft?
nothing either. It's...
Not Travis Hamonic. Nope.
I give up.
So, all right, I'll give you one more. So whatever Fish was referencing was in reference to Joel Quenville.
He's saying the Blackhawks. Something with the Blackhawks.
On the Blackhawks?
He played for the Blackhawks.
I don't remember. Go ahead.
So
You got it.
The Islanders' draft pick was Calvin DeHaan.
It's the other one I was thinking of.
Yep.
Damn it.
And then the 16th pick was Nicoletti, who was drafted by Minnesota.
I forgot about Nick.
And then they traded him to Chicago in an in-season trade.
He won a Stanley Cup with Chicago.
Yes, he did. He was
Speedy,
traded.
that was a rather impossible question.
That was a hard question. And that was too
Because
that was
of
too
that was way too hard. Speedy, where are you going?
All right, we'll go top left.
All right. Setting up a two-way go here for Speedy. So we got to stop him 2 turns in a row. Here we go.
Right. So we've been talking about Trey Hendrickson a lot. He's 3rd in Bengals history with 57 sacks. Which 2 players are ahead of him?
Say that again.
So Trey Hendrickson is 3rd in Bengals history with 57 sacks. Which 2 players are ahead of him?
Who's got more sacks in Bengals history than Hendrickson? 2 guys.
And we need to name 2 players.
Yep.
The
Both
top
are
2.
both.
Come on. You gotta ask one question.
Both are modern, though.
I'm trying to think of Bengals. It's like
I don't know anything.
I got some off that's not gonna help us. Text Zach Taylor, maybe he could help.
Zach Taylor can't help with nothing on defense.
That's a good point.
Zach Taylor doesn't help for a second on
More
defense.
stats.
He doesn't show up to defensive practice, I don't think, as the head coach. He's given up on that
it's
side
just
of the ball.
it's like you're asking 2 questions. It should be one.
It should really be one.
One guy, not
One
2
of the
guys.
2.
Yes.
I'm trying to go back and think of guys that were there. And
you said modern era, so does that mean like
Yeah, so-
recent?
So since the 90s, last 15 years.
I have one of them in my head, and I'm trying to get it out of my head, and I know exactly who one of them is.
Oh my god, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna be so mad when I don't get this.
I got one of them in my head, and it's like at the tip of my tongue, and when he says it, I'm gonna be like, mother.
I mean, is this like I don't want to guess it. Someone guess the guy that just retired.
Fine, I'll say it. Is it Sam Hubbard?
No.
I figured, yeah, no.
You need to at least rule that out. Because he was there for a while.
Recently retired?
Yeah, don't worry, it was wrong.
Yeah, that was not the answer. They're both 2010s players.
Both D linemen?
Both are D linemen.
Okay. I can't even think of a single.
Oh,
guy.
hell no. I wouldn't have got either of these. No chance.
I look like just looking it up too. I'm not gonna say it, but I just kind of know.
No, yeah, I was trying to look to see if we got anybody in the chat to help out so I didn't look stupid.
I
don't think we're gonna get
man.
this.
I got nothing.
All right, one of them, one defensive end, one defensive tackle.
D tackle.
Oh yeah, I was not gonna get these either.
Gino Atkins.
That's
Yes,
one of them.
Geno Atkins.
That's one of them. Yeah. That's the one. That's the one
That's
I was
the
thinking.
tackle. So we need a D end. All right, that's my guess. I can't go again.
I know the other one too. I just can't. I can't get his name out of my head.
We got to beat Speedy. How can I help you figure this out?
I remember. I remember both of them. They played together.
Played.
I even know.
Played with Atkins. So.
I can't think of it.
Anybody?
All right. No.
Damn.
All right.
All right,
Carlos
Speedy.
Dunlap. That's who it was. It was Dunlap. I knew it was. Mother.
All right. Looks like Speedy's gonna win.
Yet again.
Which one do you want?
Speedy, just so you know, you can't get two guys because that's unfair. You got to get one because all we have to do is make one mistake and then you win. So you have to. It's got to be one guy. Pick one guy.
Ah, there you go. Perfect. Nipping. There we go. There we go.
Where the hell is Nipping?
Java's favorite camo pants.
I mean, that when I sent it, I saw him and I was like, what is this? That was rough.
Yeah. Well, that's a great action figure, at least for the show. And we got Goody over here. Goody's going to be joining us soon to talk about his Tigers, I believe. So that's pretty exciting. I hope that he can make
he's
it
definitely going to bring.
Oh, he has to rebirth his Go Tigers from our Super Bowl trip.
Well, that was funny.
Yeah, Tigers. Forgot about that.
Well, I have the video, so I definitely.
Oh yeah, Goody has to rebirth it when he comes.
I have to send you guys the video because I still have it. Go Tigers! Go Tigers! This guy's laying on the ground. First of all, I dared him to do it. And at first, when we passed him, he was laying under the car, like he was sitting on the side. His head was practically under the car, and he had an LSU sweatshirt on. And I told Goody when we walked by, I said, "I dare you to go and scream, go Tigers, go Tigers." And this crazy SOB, the guy's sitting up now. He looks like he's about to barf. And he goes, "Go Tigers! Go Tigers!" right to his face. And this guy looks at him like he has 6 heads.
The LSU fans will do anything. It's amazing.
Oh, good for them. I'm happy for the LSU Tigers. Congratulations to them.
Java.
What up, Doc?
I got a quick surprise for you. So my stepdad, I was telling him about the show I was doing. I was telling him about, oh yeah, Java Chamberlain's on it, and he's a big baseball memorabilia collector guy, and he had to pull something out for me. I got a throwback for you.
Is that my double A?
Ren Thunder, Java
Double A.
Chamberlain
Salty.
bobblehead. So yeah, I just thought I had to show that off.
Salty. Love it.
You know, it's funny because when I always look at Jabba, it looks like a bobblehead. You know, he's a big guy with a big head and a small body. I'm just kidding.
I just thought I'd just show that off.
That's sweet.
I used to go to the Trent Thunder games as a kid back in the day, and he had that memorabilia back from years ago. And I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I loved playing there.
Mhm.
Other than the prison was right across the street, but we could. They didn't let us park there.
Oh, no, really?
If we were going on a road trip, we would have to, because we all lived in Ben Salem, and then we would they would bus us from there. They wouldn't let us keep our cars just in case like somebody like got free from the prison.
Java takes it up the ass.
Now the real question, Java, is the prison still there? Because Nathan covers a lot of the Trenton Thunder games.
Java likes
And
my
we never,
shrimp cocktail.
and somebody could be arrested for the theft of the stolen leash.
That's liquor.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still there. Like it's been what? It's been 18 years. But yeah, they had this place that was in the same parking lot. It was like the field, a bunch of commercial space, and then there was a place called the Kathmandu, and it's the only place to go. And I have a son. I could ignore you, Errol. Like I don't even notice. And so it had one side country bar, it had one side club, it had one side like live music, and then like a bar, and they were like 4 different places. It was super cool. It was a little sketchy, and then we'd always go to the diner afterwards. I loved my time there. I was only there like a month. What do we even have? We have Sportsman right now, don't we?
That's right.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
All right, when we come back, we got Goodies Bag of Balls. We got Dial It Up, and What's That Smell? But first, our sportsman, the fisherman himself.
This is the Joba and the Mouth Sports Minute.
All right, guys. Aaron Fishman back for another Sports Minute. Got a few stories before we go through the baseball scores tonight. Only sport with action going on. Now that both finals for hockey and basketball are over. Not a great year, speaking of baseball, for the Pirates. From the 17 games under 500 team on the field, while having one of the top young pitchers of a generation, to fans falling onto the field, to the front office removing lifetime guaranteed Bucko bricks they sold to fans, and accidentally removing Roberto Clemente's number for a spiked seltzer advertisement. It's been a rough almost first 3 months for the squad. Well, Dennis Santana decided to get in on the fun while the getting's good. Dennis Santana was suspended by Major League Baseball for 4 games for swiping at a fan. Santana explained his actions. "You guys know me. I'm a calm demeanor type of person," Santana said through his interpreter. "I've never had any issues for any of the teams I've played for. This guy crossed the line a few times." Well, Santana may be right about the fan in question, but taking a swipe at a guy only makes you the aggressor, and any hockey fan knows the penalty always goes to whoever retaliates. The Pirates continue to be the laughing stock of a league that also has the Rockies and White Sox in it in 2025. Next story, Dodgers pitcher / designated hitter Shohei Ohtani was the opening pitcher again for the team on Sunday, pitching only 1 inning, striking out 2 batters and hitting 98.8 miles an hour on the radar gun. That was the original plan, Ohtani said through an interpreter, who presumably isn't gambling away tens of millions of dollars of his own money somehow without him knowing it or ever getting disciplined for it. "I look forward to adding more and more pitches." The Dodgers continue to ramp up Ohtani for the long haul of both this season, the duration of his epic 10-year, $700 million contract he signed before last season, as well. Ohtani is having another banner year at the plate after winning the 2024 NL MVP and may soon be ready to resume being an elite starting pitcher as well, while Ippei Mizuhara sits in jail apparently wholly to blame for the entirety of everything that happened, and we are just supposed to take their word on it because it's 2025, and that's how things work apparently these days. And sources today revealed that Wizards forward Chris Middleton will exercise his $33.3 million player option for the 2025-2026 season. Middleton, who will be 34 next year, is going into his 14th season in the NBA as a much diminished player from this All-Star and world champion he was at his peak. Some of you may remember Middleton is the first player to rise through the G League to become an NBA All-Star in 2019. He still had excellent shooting percentages in limited time last year after recovering from off-season surgery on both his ankles. Middleton certainly was always going to cash in on top 3 player on the team money. In fact, he's going to be making the most money on the team next year after playing only 37 games while averaging only 22.8 minutes in each of those games. For the Wizards, they had to pay someone, and they have $65 million tied up in both Middleton and Jordan Poole next year. It looks like we may have a tankathon on our hands quite early on next season in the nation's capital. In baseball action still going on right now, bottom 9, the Pirates have a lead on the Brewers 5-4. Bednar's in to close it for the Pirates. See if they can't get a win over the Brewers, who are 8 games over 500 and on a hot streak. The Angels are up 5-3 early on the Red Sox, bottom 2. Walker Buehler already given up 5 runs in less than 2 innings. Top 4, no score in San Diego. Nothing between the Padres and the Nationals. And all other games have concluded today. The Orioles shut out the Rangers 6-0. The Braves beat the Mets in New York 3-2. Schwellenbach with his 6th win. The Diamondbacks blanked the White Sox 10-0. The Mariners destroyed the Twins, who have now fallen 4 games under 500, 11-2. The Cardinals ate the Cubs 2 in St. Louis earlier today, and the Yankees fell to the Reds in Cincinnati 6-1. Guys, we are streaming live on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube on our Joba the Mouth handle and on Facebook and Instagram under the Worldwide Sports Radio Network handle. Keep downloading on Apple Podcasts and watch us on Spotify. Now in video. Make sure to like and subscribe to all our shorts, reels, TikToks, and longer videos you see from us throughout the week. Now back to Errol, Joba, and Speedy for our next segment on Joba and the Mouth.
Any questions?
We're back. This is the Joba and the Mouth Show.
Is your wiener bar?
You want to jerk me off? Oh my ass. Busy all day. I'm young. Goody has no Woody. Breaking news. I have no Woody.
631-67. 3108 is the number to call. You're listening to one and only Joba in the Mouth. I am the host. I wonder sometimes if I'm lost in translation. I am Errol Marks, my co-host, Joba Chamberlain, and the speedster, Speedy Petey. We have our executive producer, Mr. Aaron Fishman, our board ops, our board guy himself, Mr. Scoops, Poops, and Tommy Poops. And we have our interns. Thank you to Jake. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Zach. And obviously Nick Goody's playing with himself over there on the baseball field, but we'll have him joining us in just a few moments. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out every one of our shows, including the one and only Joba in the Mouth, every single Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. We were going to go into Goody's Bag of Balls, but Goody is not here yet. Like I said, he's doing something with himself over there in the dugout. Whenever he's done playing with his knockers, we'll have him join us. But now we're just going to jump ship here, and we're going to go right to Dial It Up.
We interrupt this regularly scheduled hot mix to bring you important news. So we got a big broadcast to do here.
We're about to dial it up.
All right, guys, welcome back to Dial It Up. This is the lightning round segment where we give Errol 5 stories that he has not seen yet, and he is going to react to them and dial up a take for the night, and one of us is going to respond to it. You guys in the back, if you want, we can get Nathan in on this. Some of the interns, you can come in. If you have anything, we'll call on a couple of you to participate, perhaps, as we go. Errol, you ready for tonight's Dial It Up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here it is, starting it off with the big dumper. Seattle catcher Cal Raleigh hits his 31st home run of the season. So he extended his home run lead this weekend with 4 homers in a series win versus the NL Central's first-place Cubs. Raleigh is second in baseball in WAR and WRC Plus at 191 and 5.1 WAR behind Aaron Judge only, meaning second best player in baseball. The Mariners' record for home runs before the All-Star break is 35 by, of course, Ken Griffey Jr. The Mariners are tied for the last AL wildcard spot at 39 and 37 as of earlier today. Here's the quote: 31 home runs, he just continues to march through history here, Mariners manager Dan Wilson. It's fun to watch. He's a smart player, so later in the game, not getting too anxious, not trying to go out of the zone, not trying to get away from his identity as a hitter and who he is, just staying right where he needs to stay. Errol, second best player in baseball was not in the books for this guy at all from anybody. He wasn't going to be considered a top 2 catcher before the year started, let alone top 2 in baseball. It's time for you to dial it up.
Well, it's pretty interesting because he's a catcher. Who would have thought that a catcher, before even the All-Star break, would have 31 home runs? I don't remember the last catcher to do this. It's pretty incredible. And we talk about some of the players that they have on that team. Rodriguez is supposed to be their best hitter, their best power hitter, and this guy comes out of nowhere. And by the way, starting catcher for Team USA baseball coming up in the World Championships is Cal Raleigh. So pretty interesting story. It's fun to watch. It's something that you wouldn't expect. I wouldn't compare him to Aaron Judge. I wouldn't say that he is obviously having as good a season as Aaron Judge. I know all these statistics would tell you that he is. It's incredible that he's a catcher doing it. To me, I just think it's incredible that he's doing it in Seattle in a big stadium. Aaron Judge is playing in Yankee Stadium. This guy's playing in Seattle, where it's a bigger and it's a pitcher stadium, and he's doing it in, he's doing it in such a great and big stadium. I think it's incredible that he's doing it, and he's doing it at this pace. So it's incredible.
Yeah, that park is it's fun to pitch in. He hit his 32nd tonight. On pace to challenge Salvi, who has the record. Is he in the question? I mean, obviously not. But he's always been able to swing. It's always just been a little long. And, obviously as a catcher, I don't know the last time. I think the most was 28, if I recall. I was just looking this up the other day. It's awesome for him. You always have that one guy that's been around and then has that breakout year. And it's always fun seeing guys like that from everybody that I know that knows him, said he's, works hard, is a great dude. So you always got to root for people like that.
He's on pace. I mean, before today, he hit another home run today. He's got a 665 slugging percentage, Errol. Just slugging. It's
I'm not taking it away from what he's doing right now.
66 home runs is the pace.
It's incredible. He's a catcher. Have we ever seen a catcher do this before an All-Star break? I don't remember the last one to do this. But
I mean, the record's 48 for a catcher, and if he's at 35 when we get to the break.
Right. I think it's incredidible. I just don't think he's around the same conversation as what Aaron Judge is doing right now for the Yankees. That's all I'm saying. He's having a great year. It's amazing, but he's not Aaron Judge.
So he's at like a WRC, which is like the measurement they use, and 100 is an average player. He's sitting at before tonight was 191, probably another point or two higher now. Aaron Judge is at a 225. Yeah. So it's a significant couple of steps up that he's at, but it's still unbelievable to even have those types of numbers. And you said it right. As a catcher, that just never happens. Let's move on to another one of our favorite stories here on the show. Oh, here comes Caitlin Clark. Reportedly, this is a real fascinating one in the news. We talked about her not getting a lot of love, and then eventually they helped her out late, and now the one girl is getting all this love.
I love Sophie Cunningham. She's
Sophie
fantastic.
Cunningham. Well, the pictures
blew
of her
my eardrum.
were fantastic. But they didn't really help her up right away. I wasn't a fan of it. We talked about that last week. But a story came out today that Caitlin Clark, in a book that came out, reportedly turned down a 3-on-3 Olympics invite after she was snubbed for the regular women's team last year. So the story is Bleacher Report's, this is on Bleacher Report, Zach Bakari reports that Caitlin Clark was invited to join the women's 3-on-3 last year, but turned it down. This was Clark after she was unceremoniously snubbed by Team USA and coach Cheryl Reeve, who I believe is the Lynx coach, Speedy. According to a new book on her game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports. Reeve was also accused in the book of singling out Clark as an example due to the league's preferential treatment of her since she was drafted. Reeve, in response, has attacked Brennan in the media since publishing. Clark was a first-team, as you know, WNBA selection despite the snub, and Rookie of the Year in her first season in the league. The women's 3-on-3 team won bronze without her. Errol, dial it up!
Who the hell is Cheryl Reeve? That's what I want to know. Caitlin Clark is the biggest thing in college basketball, right? I mean, what's the biggest thing in college women's basketball? She's the biggest thing right now in WNBA basketball, and she gets beaten up all the time. I see her flat on her ass every single game, still goes out there, still plays hard, still plays above what you would expect a superstar player to do. And I think it's pathetic that anybody is questioning what she did, or even if she turned down 3-on-3 basketball. This girl is the best thing that could ever happen to women's basketball. And for some reason, Cheryl Reeve or anybody that writes about this lady or girl or female has some kind of hatred for somebody that is bringing in money, advertisement, sponsorship for a WNBA that was going down the freaking drain. That's where it was going. So all these people that want to say that Caitlin Clark is a joke, doesn't belong here, doesn't belong. Hey, let's go look at her numbers right now. Let's go look. Right now, if the season were to end, she's probably the MVP of the WNBA. It's despicable, it's disgusting, and it just tells you one thing. Cheryl Reeve, I don't care what she decided to turn down. She could turn down 3-on-3 basketball. She could turn down playing for USA basketball. She belonged there. She should have been a part of that team, as well as Angel Reese. Every single one of these girls should be respecting this Caitlin Clark female who has been the most dominant force in women's basketball. And take this, she is the biggest thing we've seen come out of professional sports in about 10 years. Yes, you heard it from me. She is the biggest thing to come out of professional sports. That goes for hockey, that goes for the NBA, that goes for the NFL. This girl is going to set the pace for the future of women's sports and professional sports. Shame on Cheryl Reeve. Shame on everyone that doesn't respect this woman for what she does.
Yeah, following up off of that, I just want to say, playing in front of USA basketball, playing at the helms of Olympic basketball, some of the best players in the whole entire world, from all parts of the world, different countries or whatnot. Caitlin Clark, I mean, look at someone like with Isaiah Thomas with the whole situation, right? He didn't make the dream team. Now, of course, a lot of things go into that with him, of course, him and Michael Jordan having bad blood and whatnot. Whole point is that as a player, you somewhat do remember the snub. And in a way, I feel like they said, okay, well, you didn't make it to Caitlin Clark. Here's a consolation prize, and you can be on the 3-on-3. And if you even look at the girls that are...
Well, they didn't say that. They said she turned down the 3-on-3.
After being snubbed from the U.S. Olympics.
She decided to turn it down.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, I feel like it's sort of, they're kind of giving her a consolation prize, which I agree. I wouldn't take that only for the sense, like, I agree with you, Errol. She 100% should have been a lock for the USA women's basketball team. Not the 3-on-3, which the 3-on-3 is, of course, a good achievement on its own as well, too. But it's not the USA women's basketball team that is so highlighted and so marketed during the Women's Olympics basketball.
By the way, Caitlin Clark's jersey right now is within the top 10. I think it's top 7 right now in all the sports. Sold jerseys. College and professional when it comes to the WNBA. So eat it, Cheryl Reeves. That's all I'm going to say about that. Eat it. Suck it. Dry it. Speedy, you know all about dry.
No, that's different department.
Oh, you got to spit, but you don't do that. You do it dry, right?
So inappropriate.
So what dry?
We're talking about women in this segment, and you go down that road. It's just inappropriate.
I just asked
Oh man, the Mets. Things are going the wrong direction right now in Queens. They had to demote catcher Francisco Alvarez to Triple-A. So the story goes, the Mets, who won, even though Alvarez hit a home run in a 11-4 win Saturday night, snapping a 7-game losing streak, they demoted the struggling former top prospect to Triple-A Syracuse. If you remember, he was the top prospect in all of baseball for a time in 2022, had 25 homers as a rookie in 2023. Season, he's only batting .236 with a .319 on base and a .333 slugging. He has only 3 homers this year. The bigger problem is his usually surefire defense has become pretty bad. He's had this injury with the hamate bone in the preseason that cost him early part of the year. Here's the quote: "Not an easy decision. It's something that we do not take lightly. There's a lot of potential there. When he's playing up to his potential, he's got a chance to be a pretty special player, and we're going to need him. Expect him to be back. But right now, we feel like it's best for him to go down there and get reps." That's Mets manager Carlos Mendoza. Pretty unexpected for someone who a lot of people had pegged as a breakout candidate this year. Errol, dial it up.
First of all, the Mets are only a game and a half out of first place. So calm down. Everything we've seen teams go into these spurts where they're losing, they lose a multiple amount of games, and everybody, we're going to have to point our finger at somebody. It's not Juan Soto now, it's Alvarez. I'm going to speak up, and I'm going to stick up for the Met fans. I don't think Alvarez is the problem right now. I think right now their pitching has fallen apart. We expected this. They should have went after pitching in the offseason. They went all in on Soto, and they didn't go after Max Fried. He was the guy you should have gone for. And now the Mets are eating it. They're eating their words. Now we'll see how it works out for them. It hasn't been pretty over the last couple of weeks. I don't think it's all about Alvarez. Everybody has been in spurts of not hitting. Nimmo has been the only on and off hitter for this team. Soto, Francisco Lindor, and then you have arguably one of the best power hitters in baseball. So I just think that the Mets just need to figure out what's going on with this rotation, and even their bullpen's been up and down over the last couple of weeks. I don't understand why you have to point a finger at a catcher. Who the hell cares if the catcher's hitting? He's batting .236, and his defense? I mean, the Yankees have had bad defense since Jorge Posada. I mean, they go on and off, bringing in these guys, these veteran players, on and off because these guys just can't cut it. Wells has been the best guy from their farm system as far as defense is concerned in a very long time. It's really been since Jorge Posada. The Yankees just can't find these guys that could do both things. I think the Yankees have it. So I don't know if it's Alvarez. He'll be back. Met fans, don't worry about it. I think they'll figure things out. The Mets are a lot better than they think. People think that they are. They're in a hard division. Philadelphia is by far the best team in that division when it comes to all-around talent. I do think one way or another. But by the way, I like the Braves too. But the Braves can't stay healthy. But the Mets will figure it out. It's not Alvarez. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, again, I don't know if it's a money problem as much as it is like a developmental issue because it's a lot of young players struggling all at once. The Enters had a nice year last year. He's been bad this year. Beatty had 2 good weeks, and he hasn't been great either. I also think it's also the previous regime with Buck Showalter and Billy Epler, the way they handled Alvarez in the beginning, calling him up in September, like right at the end of the season. We're trying to fight for the division. I think he lost a lot of confidence from a consistency standpoint that way. And I mean, the rest of his career has really just been injury issues when it comes to him being a bulkier catcher, him trying to do a lot. I think as well, I saw something where he's trying to like over pitch frame because that's what he's been good at, and it's hurt the rest of his defense too. Which I think.
Do you think he's the problem right now?
No, I think it's all the young players. It's like it's all the young players all at once. It's just a developmental, organizational issue. Again, I don't think it's just this regime. I think it's the previous one too. And
you both, Joba, you're a professional athlete. You played professional baseball for a long time. Goody did too. And you're not playing well. What do you usually do? You let him play out of it. That's what you do. You don't send him down. You let him play out of it. This guy's a professional athlete. This guy has been a good player in an MLB at the top level. Why are you going to send him down and make him feel low about himself? This could hurt him. I don't like this. I think this is a bad move by the New York Mets.
Yeah, it's tough because you look at it 2 ways. Sometimes a change of scenery is what you need. And other times you need to go down and actually work on something. I mean, perfect example. They sent Roy Halladay all the way down to extended spring training. And look what happened to him. So every situation is different. And it kind of just goes to what they need or what you think they need. And if that's what they felt, I don't think it was a money thing whatsoever.
I think it's a mental thing with him mostly right now.
Yeah. And you would know more about the Mets than I do because they suck.
But it's not really like they have an obvious other solution.
They do not suck.
It's an obvious their OPS collectively as a catcher. It seems like Tomas Nido.
The Mets are right now. Their record is 46-33. They haven't been good in the last 10 games. They're 1-9. But a game and a half out of first place, they don't suck.
You're only as good as your last game.
Job. I also think there's also some carryover confidence or lack of confidence. He had a lot of playoff woes in the second series and even in the NLCS against the Dodgers.
I never heard of his skin.
So I think maybe some of that kind of carried over into this year. So I think a lot of it is mental. I don't think it's ability-wise right now. The arbitration years don't kick in for him until next year, so they don't have to worry about forcing him anything. I don't think he'll be down for a long time. Maybe just to the All-Star break, and then he'll be back after that because they don't. Luis Torrens is a little bit of a spark, but it's not really a great solution either.
It could be a time thing too.
I I think part of it is they want him to get regular reps, and they're going to have to bench him.
It's going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him.
I don't know, man. It's a weird one. I thought that the numbers weren't so bad that they wouldn't let him figure it out up here.
That's why.
Usually when you're in the mid 600s with OPS, you don't have the power. Maybe they need to change his launch angle or something like that with the bat, but that's usually not done.
I don't think it's all offense.
I mean,
he could be feeling the stress playing in New York, so they might want to give him a blow.
I was gonna say, Goody, do you think it's something like that, or do you think maybe they're trying to retool a swing or something?
I mean, playing in New York is a different beast, so maybe he's just feeling a little, I don't know what the guy's feeling, but with younger guys like that, sometimes it's good just to give them a little bit of a blow and go down to AAA where they can play a little without as much stress, play free, find the love of the game again, and then he'll bounce right back up. Go down there, knock a few AAA pitchers around the park a little bit, and then come back up. Sometimes it's a confidence thing. Maybe he's lacking confidence, and so you want him to go build that down there. Or maybe there's a hitting coach in AAA that he really worked with, that he really likes, that he wants to see. Change your launch angle, whatever the case may be, pitch selection or whatever. But I mean, it's not uncommon to see that. And as Joba said, it could be a time thing as well. So, whatever it may be, I wouldn't expect him to be down there for too long. And if it is a longer stint, then there's probably underlying issues that we don't know about.
Milwaukee did it with Jackson Chourio at the beginning of the year for like a week, and then he came back up, and now he's been great. He had just a really bad start to the year. Hopefully, it's the same kind of thing.
You just
what
hope
do you got, Nathan?
You just hope he doesn't turn out as like Jesus Montero. Remember that? He'll turn out bust. I hope he does. I hope he doesn't turn out like that.
Blast from the
I
past.
need a blow up.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next story. Moving into the other side of the city, and we got shoeless Jazz Chisholm, and I spelled his name wrong on the graphic. That's terrible.
Chisholm.
Here it is. Well, you probably prefer it that way. The Yankees, for some reason, played at 11:30 in the morning on Sunday.
That's my guy right there, Chaz. Let's go, Chaz.
All right, Nathan. Took place from Jazz Chisholm on a DJ LeMahieu single to left. Jazz was standing on second, put on the Jets. As he rounded third, he lost his left shoe as on the throw from Colton Cowser. It took the rookie catcher Maverick Hanley up the line. He got his arm caught trying to tag. Jazz got hurt. He dropped the ball. Jazz's other shoe flew off in the collision and scored after gathering himself without any shoes on. The Yankees would come back and win 4-2. I saw a lot of firsts, said Aaron Judge. 11:30 game to a guy losing both his shoes. I've seen one cleat kind of running, but not both like that. That was awesome. Jazz has hit .350 since returning from a strained oblique with 11 RBIs. Asked whether he should be called Shoeless Jazz Chisholm, he responded, "Wow, is that how Shoeless Joe got his name? He ran out of his shoe." And that's how he got his name. Oh, so he wasn't wearing shoes, because famously Shoeless Joe Jackson didn't lose his shoes. He didn't play with shoes on because he felt he could hit better without them. Besides that, Errol, we got a new nickname, or are you going to stay with your favorite? Dial it up!
Shoeless Jazz Chisholm is his nickname. I could give a crap if he's batting .350. Do it in the playoffs. Do it in the big game. He hasn't, and until he does that, I don't give a crap. He could steal bases with no shoes. He could steal bases with his pants down, completely bare ass. I could give a crap. Go play the game and play it hard. That's what you want to hear. That's the Yankee way. And if they don't win a championship, it's because of the one and only Shoeless Jazz Chisholm. I don't care about what he does in the regular season. I want to see him bat .350 in the playoffs. That's what I want to see. We got a guy like Gleyber Torres over there in Detroit. We see what he's done in the playoffs. He's been a pretty good hit in the playoffs. Instead, the Yankees decided to deal with this idiot sitting over there dancing around with his nice big long cane and enjoying his damn prancing and dancing.
You might want somebody else to hit in the playoffs too, there, Mister. If you're going to put it on him, you might want to put it on the guy that the MVP.
Listen, I bust his chops too. And go look at the drop. Go look at the drop that we have on our intro. Until he hits in the playoffs, that's what he's going to be looked at as a guy that doesn't hit in the playoffs. Aaron Judge is one of those guys. Alex Rodriguez was that until he did it in 2009. The fact is, I don't want to hear about Shoeless, Jazz, Chisholm, or whatever the hell he is, what he does in the regular season. There's 162 games, a lot of crazy things that we've seen over the years, as we've seen Jose Canseco give up a home run when it hits him in the back of his head all the way, over the fence. I don't care. Go do it when it counts. Jazz Chisholm could be Shoeless, Jazz Scrotum. I don't care.
So, Errol, while you were, you were caught up, and we have the picture of you being caught up on your trip in this jail cell right here on the screen with the sharks biting at your feet. But we had Gary Phillips from the New York Daily News, the Yankees beat writer, on Thursday, and we talked about Jazz and how there might be some misconceptions around him in the league. And he said that from everything, that the reputation he had coming from Miami couldn't be further from the truth. He's been a total pro. He's been great in the clubhouse.
Is he a Yankee guy? Is he a Yankee guy?
He said that he doesn't root for the Yankees.
That's a lie.
It was a big
That's a
deal.
lie.
No. He says he stopped doing it when he was a kid, which, by the way, was only a couple of years ago.
Liar.
But that's a whole other story. He's a young man. He's about Speedy's age. Well, regardless, they said that he was a good player in the clubhouse, and if he's going to hit 350 and play good defense and run the bases like that,
Blow my
we'll
back
take
out.
him every single time.
Good. He could take him. Take him with his shoes. Take him with his pants off. I can give a crap. Until he does it in the playoffs and he shuts his mouth and stops wearing his long chains and dancing and prancing around when he shouldn't be. By the way, why do I always see Jazz Chisholm at these clubs in New York City? Every time I look, a post goes up. This guy's dancing and prancing around. I don't want to see this guy at the clubs. I just want to see him play baseball, okay? That Jizzamaniac. That's what I'm going to call him. You want to give him a nickname? Hey, all you Jizzamaniacs. Go enjoy.
Jizzamaniacs?
He's a Jizzamaniacs. Is it the leader of this group? Jizzamaniacs.
That would be a great T-shirt right there. Jizzamaniacs.
Yeah, there you go. Enjoy. I hope
Yankee
everybody
fans,
enjoys.
but also fans of some strange behavior. Guys, we got one last story coming up here. Oh, and that's Tom Brady and Eli Manning.
Oh, God.
Tom Brady won $1 million in the inaugural Fanatics games held in the city this past weekend. Tom Brady defeated both athletes and fans in a series of competitions, first ever Fanatics games in New York City. Brady said he would give $5,000 to each of the 50 fans who competed and donate the rest to charity. UFC fighter Justin Gaethje was second and won a Ferrari 812 GTS. A fan came in third and won a rare LeBron rookie card that Brady gave him $250,000 for on the spot with a signed Brady card in jersey. James Harden came in fourth. Eli Manning came in fifth, and they were the only other athletes finishing in the top 10. Besides Errol, what place? Obviously, I'm going to ask you, what place do you think you would finish in the Fanatics games when we try them next year for the show and do it live from over there if we can? I want to know how you're going to explain it when you dial it up.
It's pretty simple. I could give a crap. Liz, Tom Brady could give me $500,000, $2 million, $3 million. Thank you, Tom. I don't think it means anything going to a Fanatics. First of all, we weren't even invited. And if we were invited, I would go over there and what I would try to do is shove a football up his ass. Okay? That's what I want to see. I want to see Tom Brady take a football up his ass. I don't care if James Harden threw a football or did whatever he did. I don't care if Justin Gaethje was out there winning a Ferrari. All I care about is Tom Brady looking like a complete juice bowl idiot. That's what I think. I don't care what he gives us. He can give us 500, 600, 700,000. How about invest into this show, Tommy boy? Tommy boy, I want your money. I want it right. I'm not playing a game that I know I'm going to lose. And Eli, stop it. Stop it. You'll only win big games when you need to. What you need to do is take that football and shove it up Tommy boy's behind-o. Right, Speedy? Let's go, Jizzamaniac. Let's go, Jizzamaniac. Nathan, are you going to play with yourself after this?
All right, ready? All right, here's my – first of all, shout out to Michael Rubin for putting this all together. for the first 2 years in New York.
Breaking news.
I was
I
glad
gotta
to be
go
part of
back
the first
off
one.
now.
I was glad to be part of the first one, but this one, what a great
Breaking news. Woody has
I had
no
other people
Woody.
go there for me, covering, getting some good content. They said this Fanatics Fest was great. So for me, if I was competing in those games, I would finish second or third, in my opinion. I'm competitive, so I can't wait for the next one. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get all of you guys down there for next year.
Did you go?
I didn't go this year, unfortunately, but I'm gonna get you guys, all of you guys, to come
Breaking news.
next
I've
year in New
farted.
York, and I'm gonna make sure our podcast is there too next year. And
I have
once we live from there, we got to compete in the games as a team.
I
All
like
of us.
Dino.
And also, I'm trying to bring a couple players with us next year. So, for
Smash.
example, like Jahan Dotson, we were trying to bring him to Fanatic Fest this year,
I love Lisa Ann.
but we couldn't. We
Rear
couldn't
end
bring
is
him this
burning.
year. So next year, we're planning on bringing some players with us.
Nathan, make it happen, bro. Make it happen, Nith.
Yo, but I'm planning on. I'm gonna make sure that all of us goes at the same time next year. So let's see.
Joba.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool they do that, and it's cool it's close by. Us being a
This
New
is not a
York
penny
centric
Errol,
type of a show. By the way, not surprised Eli Manning top 5. Guy should be in the Hall of Fame.
I actually, I don't know if you guys saw the painting. His name is Cody Sable. He was at Fanatics Fest. He does a really cool painting, like fast painting. He throws it on the board, and so he makes.
I hope not. Nathan, has he ever done a painting of your blue blazer?
No. But I reached out to him about coming on the show here. So let's see.
Doing this nonsense about a bunch of
All right, guys. Well, that has been yet another great episode of Dial It Up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we call this goodies bag of what, Speedy?
My mom is going to wire a battery on my testicles.
Trying to put Tiger Bomb on this jungle's nuts.
Goodies, bag of balls.
That's how you do great, man. Hang your balls out there.
It's going to be a quick one. As we all know, LSU has won its 8th national championship, Men's College World Series title, 91, 93, 96, 97, 2000, 2009, 2023, 2025. Jay Johnson won 2 and 3 years. That places them second all-time behind USC, which I don't know how they got 12 titles. They must have been playing St. Mary's School of the Blind, but they're the first program to win multiple championships in 3 different decades, the 90s, 2000s, and 2020s. Jay Johnson's at his 4th season. He won in 23, 2025. All is right in the world with the LSU Tigers back on top. Not only that, not only did we win the College World Series, we also won the Jello Shot Challenge.
Of course.
Over 50,000 Jello shots sold for Rocco's. We know how to party.
And that's
We know how to drink.
second.
Well,
They're number 1 and 2.
Number 1 and 2.
Ole Miss had the record when they won, and then you guys just took over like 4 years in a row after that.
Yeah, we're not used to losing. This is national championship U. Not to mention it was LSU's 20th College World Series appearance with an 8-1 record in the finals. It is just a program of dominance. When you think of college baseball, you think of one school. Think of 2 colors, purple and gold, and championships being won. I hope all of you guys on this show get a chance to experience
Slap that ass.
Baton Rouge for what it is. There it is, the double play to seal the deal. Chase Shores coming in, throwing 102 sliders, heaters, everything. I mean, Jabba, you were there. You were there live.
No Woody.
You were there live. How does LSU travel? I don't think these Northerners know exactly what it's like.
Well, I mean, first of all, they don't even have to be in it to travel really, really well. Like, it doesn't matter. They love the game. I ran into so many groups that, like, they do it as a family every year. And I think about half of them were LSU people. And I was like, you guys just happen to be in it all the time. He's like, yeah, you know what? It makes it pretty easy for us. But it was cool getting to know him from, like, the other side because I've been a fan, played there. You got upset by Stony Brook in 12, right?
Yep.
and then now being on the
I
other
love
side
that.
of it.
I smell farts.
Oh, that's gross.
Just-
But I think you guys don't understand like the passion, like, but it's not only the passion for them, it's the passion for the sport as a whole. Like if they're sitting out there or there's a big LSU group and you're just sitting there, you're sitting, at the bar, you're walking around and you're just BSing because there's tents everywhere. And they'll spark up a conversation and go into the hotel and like they don't care who you are. They don't care who you're rooting for. I mean, there was a little bit of I got some good stuff with LSU Arkansas, but they don't like each other anyways. But I think it's just how cool it is for them to no matter what, if they're in it or not, they're always there and they're always some of the coolest people ever. I loved it, and I think they partied harder than the Thunder did when they won.
Oh yeah, easily. That's a given. Goody, Carl. Carl has a question in the comments.
I need a gin and tonic.
What was the reasoning with the umpire ejections, the whole controversy in the first inning?
Schnall, I actually know him from UCF. He was a UCF assistant coach a few years ago. Awesome guy, great coach. It's kind of ridiculous. I went back and watched it. Here it is. So he's trying to get an understanding of what's going on right here. And the umpire says, you got a warning. And he goes, for what? And he goes, arguing balls and strikes. And he goes, why? Because you missed 3. And then, boop, got the hook, quick hook, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. You can't. The umpire, it's more and more now, man. I mean, I understand the umpires take an absolute beating, and they're not out there trying to suck. But like in a national championship game, you're going to run both coaches out of there like that. It's mind-boggling to me, especially.
You should have seen how they broke it down to us, like the NCAA did. But also, Angel Campos has been fired from the MLB already.
Brutal. And
then he did the controversy call with Cam Caldanero in the Super Regional, and then he got this game. He got crushed. But what they said when they broke it down to us was Article 5.1.605. He said he was supposed to go, and Schnall was like, there's 25,000 people here. I can't hear you.
Yes.
So was it a legal textbook?
Oh, it literally was the official NCAA breakdown of why. And then he got the 2 extra games because he came back out after he did this. So he's suspended for the next 2 games to start their year next year. So he wouldn't even been able to. He wouldn't have been able to be in the dugout anyways if they would have got to Monday. And so it was nuts. And then for them to try to say that he pushed him down.
Yeah.
Like if you see the video, I get you're gonna take some stuff, but just have a little feel.
They call me the ladies' man and Mr. Steal Your Girl.
It bothered me.
I thought his response to the questions being asked in the interview, like, I'm not responsible for another man's athleticism, because he came out and the umpire tripped on his way out, and they said he bumped them, blah 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 blah. Honestly, I think umpires nowadays are trying to make it more about them than the actual game. And like I said, I'm coaching in this collegiate league, and Carl, I'm not high because I'm coaching college baseball. Like it's been long nights every night. Tonight was actually a quick one. We won our 16th in a row.
There you go.
Set a record. Set a record last night or Saturday night. Just continue to just keep winning. I don't know. The Rats just
as long as you're using dude wipes and taking care of my 2-hole, I'm good.
So Goody, you're actually your team is 10 wins behind the winning streak Coastal
This
Carolina
makes my
had
pecker
that you
hard.
guys were able to snap 26 wins in a row.
Actually, Speedy, do you have any more stats that may be from something we like to call your 6-pack?
Oh, no, the LSU only does Jello shots. We're not going for 6-pack.
A 6-pack of Jello shots?
No, they'll need a lot.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer? It's time for
drink the beer.
This makes my pecker hard.
Six Jello shots would be like 2 minutes for the LSU students. So they need a lot more than that.
2 minutes, bro.
Speedy, finish up this segment on LSU's win with some stats that you came up with for the College World Series.
So there was that wasn't even the longest one. Coastal wasn't even the longest one this year. That was an interesting event. 27 in a row. Northeastern one, and there's another LSU school that actually had the all-time record, record this season. An NAIA school, LSU Shreveport, won 58 games in a row this year. So then Coastal's 0-3 in that department as well. The main thing I wanted to go to, those were kind of two combined. Cade Anderson in the game one with a complete game shutout. This is a fun coincidence, Goody. It's the first one in the Men's College World Series since 2016 by J.C. Cloney, who pitched for Arizona against Coastal Carolina when he was coached by Jay Johnson at the time. We actually had him on the show when he was Arizona's coach back in during the pandemic.
You had Jay on?
We had Jay on when he was with Arizona, yep.
How was he?
Yeah, he was great. He was fantastic. So yeah, that was a cool coincidence with that. Complete game shutout, 130 pitches. I just wanted you as a pitcher, pitching in college. Like obviously you don't see much of them in MLB, but you don't see a lot even.
I'll let you lick my butt.
Later on with college baseball. What were your thoughts to his performance with Cade?
Cade?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, stellar. I mean, there's a reason why he's projected to go number 1 overall in this year's draft. You know what I'm saying? The guy's got impeccable stuff. I mean, he went out there and both of his starts were pretty good. I know the one in the championship didn't start out hot, but like that's a sign of a good pitcher, like making in-game adjustments and being able to go 9 innings. He showed that he's durable with 130 pitches. I mean, he's a key factor in why LSU was so successful this year. He set the tone, and then Ianson would come in the next day and dominate. And it's just like, I mean, to me, for whatever reason, I get Cole Hamels vibes. I don't know, Joba. I mean, I'm sure you played against Cole Hamels, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's his mechanics, his deliveries. But left-handed, I get Cole Hamels vibes, and I think he's got a really good chance to be on a fast track to the big leagues. He showed a lot of pitchability in the biggest moment in college baseball, and so, I mean, but that's what we do.
And that's, I mean, it does, and I was always trying to think of comparison because he's not. I mean, he's going to run at 95, maybe touch a 6. But he's going to pitch, and it was fun to see because that's his highest walk total at 5 all year. And what I love, too, is you let him go. I don't care if it's 1-0. You ride that horse and let it go. Look at, and we got a shout-out on this show if we're going to talk about the College World Series. Gage Wood threw the 3rd no-hitter. He was 1 pitch away from the first ever perfect game for Arkansas. And his interview afterwards is one of the coolest interviews because he was like, well, how do you feel about it? He goes, I shouldn't have hit him. That's all I got to say. I was like, mic drop. So yeah, no, there was really good pitching all around. It was really fun. I mean, there was a couple games that got away, but none like ever got away. You know, they were still like grinding and good at bats. So it was so fun to cover it and just see. I mean, ticket prices were going for like $2,500, $3,000. Rooms were going for like over $1,000. We're talking like a Homewood suite was going for $600.
It's ridiculous.
Carl in the comment section referencing Mets legend Kumar Rocker in the comment section dominating for Vanderbilt, taking down Michigan.
Beneficial.
Vanderbilt, I think, won 3 titles in 6 years or something.
Carl,
Vanderbilt.
Jack Leiter was on that team too.
Yeah, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker on the same team was an incredible 1-2 punch. They were so. I mean, I don't even like. I enjoyed watching college baseball. I really enjoyed watching those 2 guys pitch Friday, Saturday. Like they were ridiculously good. And then
there's only been four 1-2 Friday, Saturday guys that are 1-2 in the country in strikeouts, and one of them was this year.
Me and you.
All right, Speedy. Do you have any? Let's wrap up the 6-pack.
2 more. One more was just a quick one because Goody, you mentioned Jay Johnson. He is actually the first head coach to win 2 titles in 4 seasons with a new school. The previous record was 2 in the first 8 seasons. So pretty much cut that record in half. And then the last one, kind of more of a discussion standpoint. LSU, the first team to win a College World Series without hitting a home run in a very long time since UCLA in 2013.
Jared Jones hit a home run.
Yeah, he hit one in the center to tie it.
What happened?
Speedy.
Well, I blew that one.
I blew that one.
Dude, Jared Jones hit a game-tying homer.
You boy.
Then he hit the walk-off single, like.
Thickness.
Speedy, where are you getting your facts, dog? Did you?
This is
You
why
you just rickrolled us on the last one.
Shave the ass.
Speedy, you have my phone number. You can ask me. I was there.
Why don't you give her the bear back?
All right.
Oh, that was Speedy's 5-pack.
Got
Goodness.
Pulled it out of my ass.
You definitely pulled that one out of your ass.
couple of beers short of a 6-pack tonight, Speedy,
No,
unfortunately.
Only Jello shots. This is LSU.
Joba.
That's been Speedy's Sixer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our final segment of the night is What's That Smell?
What's that smell?
Wow. You don't see that every day.
Speedy, have you smelt my farts tonight? Have they smelt? I mean, I've been laying one out. I had salty foods on that cruise, and I will say this. I stayed away from the Indian food. No offense, Nathan, I know you're listening. I tried these Indian lamb meatballs. I almost threw up. I really almost barfed. It had curry, whatever. What's that? What's that?
You
crap?
definitely wouldn't like curry.
Oh,
Kevin.
it was horrible, man. I'm sorry, Nathan. Stay the hell away from lamb meatballs. I see. Brittany tried it. She almost threw up too. It was bad. It was really, really bad. So whoever was cooking that and all the chefs that were there, oh my God, and it stunk. I thought it was meatballs. Then they tried to tie it up with barbecue. I tried to put something. Oh man, it was just horrible. I'll never do that again. I was sitting on the bowl for at least.
Should have asked for honey mustard.
Oh my God, I had that too. By the way, they actually had good honey mustard. So I tried that at the last day. I had my yes, I had the chicken fingers at the last day. Yes, I had it good. It was actually pretty good. But I tried all different stuff.
At
There
least
a
it was
lot
your
of different
last
food.
day. At least
Yeah, it was. It was like I had a lot of chicken fingers, by the way, but I didn't eat as much as I thought I was. But I don't know. Whatever they were putting in that food, it made me just let them go, and I let it go, man. It was, like I said, the kid, he was like up to my ass, standing right behind me, trying to run right through me. I let it go. It was actually pretty funny. Anyways, so if you guys don't know what's that smell, and if it does smell, so be it. We're going to give you stories that we think is, interesting stories in sports or in the world, and we're going to tell you what it smells like. So tonight, we're going to go with Speedy, Fish, Tommy, Joba, Goody, me. Here we go.
All right, I'll start it off with more tweets or more stories from the LJA, the LeBron James Association, but this time it's stuff with him making tweets and then posting the wrong pictures in them. So LeBron James tweeted in conversation with what we talked about last week, Fish and Indiana Fever players not protecting Caitlin Clark, but he decides to do it by not even including a picture of her, but of a former wrestler, Billy Kidman, a former WCW wrestler, who's now a WWE producer. Instead of putting Caitlin Clark in the photo, putting him in the photo, and then Caitlin Clark responds, "You realize that's Billy Kidman, not me." So what does that smell like? It smells like the wrestler Pat McAfee, as sweaty as he is, and LeBron James slamming Stephen A. Smith in a boat-size bottle, or boat size of Errol's Cruise of chicken curry, while Stephen A. Smith tries to play freestyle or solitaire at the same time.
Wow. He's always the most.
I have no idea what the hell you just said.
I have no idea what he was saying. He brought in Stephen A. Smith.
You missed Stephen A. Smith getting caught playing Spider Solitaire on his phone during Game 4 of the NBA Finals last week.
How wonderful.
That was a What's That Smell last week. But my What's That Smell is just going to be focused on the pregame show and the same Stephen A. Smith in the NBA Finals. Mercifully, I think this is the end now that the TNT boys are going over there. But that group with Malika Andrews leading it, with your favorite Bob Myers talking with Shams Charania, who I would argue has a little bit too much exposure on television right now. He's certainly not Woj, in my opinion. But and then you have everyone's favorite Kendrick Perkins mixing it up. It might be the worst
He's
pregame
a-
show.
How do you pronounce his name? Shania? What is his name?
Sharania.
Shams Charania. But it's not even that. It's like they don't get along.
He's the prettier version of Nithin.
Well, he's definitely like pretty boy version of Nithin. I think there's some of that, some truth to that. I think Nithin might have, you know, some spicier food and hotter takes than Shams Charania does on that show. Because that show is just weird. Stephen A. Smith, you can clear, doesn't get along with Bob Myers, doesn't get along with Perkins. I don't know if Perkins gets along with anyone other than Malika Andrews. It's a weird show. Thank God those guys are back. And then you get to the Hall of Famer Mike Breen dealing with Richard Jefferson, who apparently doesn't get along with those guys at all. And there was a moment in Game 7 of the finals where Richard Jefferson says something. He's like, no, nobody. I'm just going to say this. That literally happened on the air of Game 7 in the finals. That's embarrassing. Guys, I'd be embarrassed if we had that. I'd be a lot less embarrassed if I had a real cute child in a Spider-Man outfit, you know, saying hi to everybody.
Hi.
What's up, man? How
Say
we
hi.
doing?
Say hi.
We just want to say hi. Baseball's awesome, right? Go Tigers!
Say go Tigers.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Say go Tigers. Bagel hole.
All
Go
right.
Tigers.
Either way, what does it smell like? I
They
looked
call
up
me
the
the ladies' man and
smelliest.
Mr. Stereo
You might like this. The smelliest aquatic animal is the sea lion because their farts contain a diet of fish and squid. So what does that show smell like? Sea lion farts.
Now, what if the sea lion were to eat the Indian food that
Hold on, let me go next. Let me go next. so I can
Indian
think out of that.
origin sea lion.
So we're kind of
farts.
already smelling sea lion farts then, basically. All right. That's great to hear.
Go,
But-
go ahead, Nick. Let Nick go. Let Nick go.
What's that smell? And I just pulled this up on Twitter a second ago. I thought this was pretty interesting because it has to do with Florida and alligators. I thought, clearly I was wrong. But Florida's Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center has been approved. The Department of Homeland Security has approved Florida's plan to construct Alligator Alcatraz, a 30 square mile detention facility for undocumented immigrants in the Everglades. The site leverages the natural environment surrounded by alligators and pythons for security, reducing the need for extensive perimeter fencing. Pretty awesome, I guess. Construction's underway with an operation timeline of 30 to 60 days, the fastest anything's ever been done here in Florida. The facility aims to house thousands of criminal aliens, sparking debates over its environment impact and the ethical considerations. Pretty interesting. That smells a whole lot like Errol Slam Curry meatball farts on his 4-day cruise.
I like anal.
It sounds like Florida's version of Jurassic Park for people. That
My rear
survive.
end is burning.
I'm going to take this little guy to bed.
Go ahead, man. We love
What do you say? Say goodnight.
Good night, little one.
Good night.
Go Tigers.
Say go Tigers. Say go Tigers and we'll go to bed.
He's not feeling it.
He's like, go to hell. Go to hell.
We'll see y'all. Say
All
bye.
right. I'll talk to you, man.
All right.
Later, Goody.
Goody. He shows up. We love Goody. We love it. All right.
All right. So my turn being next, I'm going to actually kick it back to what's Speedy and Fish. We're on the topic of NBA. And I'm going to talk about the NBA championship hats and jerseys that are now on sale for the Oklahoma City Thunder. As we all know, they're the champs. However, the hats and jerseys that are on sale, the hats that they gave to the Thunder are absolute dog shit. And they easily look like someone just easily went on PowerPoint. I think Fish, with the amazing graphics that he makes, could have made a way better hat or design for that. And I kind of want to rehash what I also mentioned as a previous What's That Smell of just how this season and kind of, I guess, the past couple of seasons hasn't really felt like an NBA final setting. You know, you used to have the court that used to be decked out. You used to have the players and the environment that used to just look a lot more like an NBA finals, like an NBA championship. Like this is the last series to be played. However, it didn't really come with that. You know, you had an NBA court this season in game 1 or 2, I think, with the Thunder, that they had a little clip art NBA finals that even took away like midway through the game. So it's really frustrating looking at these NBA quality hats go down in quality, and it kind of smells like Tyrese Haliburton's father in his panties after having released a huge mud pie queef. And if you guys watch analytics, you guys remember what a queef actually was. So I'm gonna leave it right there for that.
Are you telling me that he queefs? I mean, and he's not.
Hey, check his panties, man.
You're telling me he's not a
mud
male?
pie. Mud pie.
Not just a regular.
You telling me he's a female?
I don't think it works that way, to be honest.
It probably doesn't, but hey. Tyrese Haliburton's father made a way.
If that man can queef, he's got something special.
I'm telling you, he's Flavor Flav without the clock.
That's a good call.
Disgusting.
My what's that smell is Jameer Candelario, who was their big free agent signing in 23. Got hurt, sent down to AAA. This kind of goes on what we were talking about earlier. What do? You send him down to AAA. He played in 15 games. He barely hit 200. And they're like, you know what? We're starting to play better. We're starting to get some contention. You lost some playing time a little bit before. Oh, yeah, but you don't have to do anything because we still owe you $22.5 million. And so what that smells like is I can suck, still get paid, and make it rain at the strip club and just smell some good perfume and maybe some dirty fish.
That's disgusting.
You get both of them there. You get both of them.
You get the best of both worlds.
Snatch. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last what's that smell is pretty simple. Prosecutors seek 5-year prison term for Rays Wander Franco. The prosecutors said in court that there is sufficient evidence to prove that Franco had a relationship with a minor for 4 months, and that the transfer of large sums of money to the minor's mother to consent to a legal relationship. So Wander Franco, and there is proof that there is money being transferred. So pretty much it was buying sex for an underage young girl. It's absolutely despicable.
From the mother.
From the mother, yeah, it's despicable.
They're charging the mother with 10 years. You see that?
Yes, I saw that too. It's a despicable story, and it's starting to grow legs. I could only imagine what is going on in many other different countries. And Wander Franco, who is just absolutely looking like a disgusting, pathetic loser, should absolutely be terminated and never be thought of in professional sports again. What does it smell like? Well, it smells like a giraffe taking a dump and Speedy putting his nose in it and then pulling his chicken while he was doing it and smelling that with it. So, Speedy, you know what chicken I'm talking about? He doesn't care, as we all know. Well, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a new episode of Joba The Mouth. And boy, oh boy, if you want to know what a queef is, just listen to our 2 weeks ago when Speedy gave you his own take on what a queef is.
Our latest analytics, and of course, going to be returning.
Analytics.
And Speedy anals his lytics, right, Speedy?
Nathan does that.
Oh, he does.
I love Lisa Ann.
Nathan is the one that says on that very soundboard.
Fish is not a panty dropper.
Not the one I was going for, but that works too.
Jabba likes my shrimp cocktail.
Nathan, are you going to defend yourself, Nathan?
He's still trying to figure out how to work this.
wait, defend on what? Which part?
Fish wears panties.
That's just not true, man.
You do wear panties.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why are you thinking about what I'm wearing?
No.
You just said you think about it. That's so strange.
No, I don't think about it.
I need it.
You literally just said the opposite.
I think Speedy thinks about it.
Why are you thinking about what he's thinking about?
Why are you thinking about what he's thinking about?
Breaking news. I'm putting you on a leash now.
It's like an enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a mystery.
Oh, God.
Joba.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our very special guest, and we really appreciate all the time that he gave us. Golden State Warriors play-by-play broadcaster Tim Roy, he was fantastic. So thank you to him. Thank you to all the fans on all the social medias, and thank you for all the fans that reached out to me when I wasn't on the show and telling me that I miss you. Listen, the show went good. Thank you to Fish. Thank you to all the guys. Yeah, thank you to all the guys for filling in for me, and I appreciate it. I needed a little bit of a break, and it's not easy. I'll tell you this. Everybody thinks, oh, you could grab a mic and do a radio show. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. And obviously, it's for a person that's not done it for more than a year. I give Fish a lot of credit for filling in for me. So thank you to him. And by the way, follow us on all the social medias from all of them. I'll name them all. Spotify video, Apple, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're on it. YouTube. Podbean. Play with yourself. Odyssey. Play with yourself. All of them. Anyways, thank you to all the fans that are tuning in and listening to us and giving us the time. We really appreciate it, and we love you, and thank you. We'll be back on Thursday. Speedy, who do we have on the show?
All right, shout out to Nathan for getting this guy. 8:45, we have former Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers safety Ward will be joining us. Nathan, you want me to promote his two things, Ward Boy Project and NFL Agency Player Above Sports. I don't know if you know anything more about what those foundations are about.
I like anal.
But tell us in a text, and we'll ask him about it on Thursday.
I'll send it to you guys. Yep.
Thanks, Nith.
We love Nith. Nith is good. Nith is sticking with it, as we all know. Hopefully, Speedy sticks with it too. You know what I mean, Speedy?
That's Nithin's the one about the hot ladies.
But I'm asking you about sticking with it.
Nithin's about the hot ladies.
I'm asking you about sticking with it. Are you going to stick with it tonight?
Stick with what?
Well, there you go. He doesn't know how to use his hands, and he likes to dry up. Anyways, that's it. Good night. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Fish is not a panty dropper.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.